Welcome to Truth Uncompromised. I am your host, Rhonda. Join us every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Truth is peace. Truth is justice and freedom to love, live, and be. Music provided by SourceVibrations.com. All right, family. Welcome to the Truth Uncompromised show. I am your host, Rhonda, and tonight is Thursday, August 11th, and we have a great show planned for you tonight. We will continue with the series, The Lost Book of Enki, that Brother Wendell has been breaking down for us, and it has been excellent. So I am looking forward to that. We are also going to get into the news tonight. As usual, there's a couple of things going on with that. Sis Divinity will not join us tonight. She is with her family, enjoying them. So I am going to bring on Brother Wendell. I do want to also take a moment after I bring on Brother Wendell and send out honors and libations to our Dr. Sebi, who transitioned recently. So I'll get into doing a bio on him and going into the details that we know to date on what happened to our beloved brother. So with that said, let me bring on Brother Wendell first. Let me get to him. Greetings, Brother Wendell. How you doing?
Oh, man. I feel like 15 left shoes.
Why you off the bat talking about some 15 left shoes? We ain't even started nothing yet. Dang.
It's just how it is sometimes, you know what I'm saying?
That's true, beloved. That is so true.
I'm good.
Okay. Well, I'm going to jump right into, because I do have a lot of news, but I do want to start out by giving honor and libation to Dr. Sebi. So I am going to go into his bio. Now, I am getting this off of the website of actually our boy who was a guest recently, Savan or Seven, off of his website, secretenergy.com. So he put an excellent summary out of Dr. Sebi, and the title of this article is The Official Story of Dr. Sebi's Death. And so he says, wholeness, yesterday we reported on the unfortunate and unexpected departure of Dr. Sebi. Since this has left the community in a daze, we have sought due diligence in getting the full story of the circumstances surrounding Dr. Sebi's death. Here is the official story, which has been pulled from several Latin American news sources, public and private. And if I'm not mistaken, Brother Savan or Seven, I think he's in Costa Rica. I think that's where he lives. Anyway, Alfredo Darrington Bowman, also known as the world-famous Dr. Sebi, the man who cures cancer and AIDS, along with many other diseases, was detained after a flight from California that landed at the Juan Manuel Galvez de Rotan Airport on May 28, 2016, under charges of money laundering. Dr. Sebi and his associate Pablo Medina Gambia were apprehended carrying a total of $50,000 in cash, $20,000 on Dr. Sebi, and $30,000 on Gamboa. They were attempting to board a private plane headed to another location in Honduras. He was detained and then released for a pending court appearance that would later take place on June 3, 2016. After his court hearing on June 3, 2016, Dr. Sebi was detained under the charges of money laundering by the public ministerial, I may be pronouncing that wrong, but anyway, on an unconfirmed date and time between June 3rd and August 6th, Dr. Sebi reported severe health conditions during incarceration related to pneumonia. In critical health conditions, he was rushed to the Vicente de Antonio Hospital, but died in transit. Before this event, his brother Garden Bauman reported that Dr. Sebi had experienced health complications from pneumonia and was prescribed medication by the hospital. His exact conditions of death and any complications from pneumonia, his exact condition of death and any evidence of foul play is still unknown and under investigation. He was received at the hospital by Dr. Edwin Tirino. Dr. Sebi died at 82 and is survived by 17 children. He was an inspiration to many and will be intensely missed by people all over the world, impacted by his holistic approach to wellness. Okay. So here's a bio for anybody that's unfamiliar with Dr. Sebi. Again, he was born, his birth name is Alfredo Bowman on November 26, 1933, in the village of Ilanga in Spanish Honduras. Dr. Sebi never attended school, not even kindergarten. Instead, he took cues on being obedient to the perception of life from his beloved grandmother, Mama Hay. Sebi's mother had to leave her young son with his grandmother to obtain work in another town. His early days of play and observation by the river and in the forest, coupled with guidance from his grandmother, afforded Sebi the foundation to be obedient to the truth in his later life. Dr. Sebi videos. Dr. Sebi came to the United States as a self-educated man who was diagnosed with asthma, diabetes, impotency, and obesity. After unsuccessful treatments with conventional doctors, Sebi was led to an herbalist in Mexico. Finding great healing success from all his ailments, he began creating natural vegetation cell food compounds geared for intercellular cleansing and the revitalization of all cells that make up the human body. Inspired by the personal healing experience and knowledge he gained, he began sharing the compounds with others, which gave birth to the USHA Research Institute, Dr. Sebi LLC, and the Yusha Healing Village located in La Ceiba, Honduras. Sebi is a pathologist, herbalist, biochemist, and naturalist. He studied and personally observed herbs in America, Latin America, Africa, and the Caribbean, and has developed a unique approach to healing with herbs that is firmly rooted in over 30 years of practical experience. So again, that great update and a bio came from Brother Savan's website called secretenergy.com, and the title of it is The Official Story of Dr. Sebi's Death. Okay, so we do want to say honor and libations to our brother Dr. Sebi, who has given us so much knowledge. All right, brother. Okay, so did you have anything you wanted to put on that, Brother Wendell, before we jump into everything else?
Dr. Sebi, Ashe.
Ashe. Ashe. Indeed, indeed. Okay, so on that note, in honor of Dr. Sebi, I will be adding a section to our news called Health and Healing. And so whenever we run across particular articles dealing with health or, things that we feel that they're being slick on regarding health, it will go under that category in honor of Dr. Sebi. It's interestingly enough, I ran across an article, and it made me think of Dr. Sebi, and it came out of RT News saying that autism research at Princeton, and they're using the Genome Project to do it. So I kind of chuckled to myself. So let me see if I can get to this article, or did they yank it down off? Oh, they had the nerve to have yanked my doggone article down. Let me just make sure before I accuse them falsely, because I sure had that up where they might have taken it down, family, but I had a little bit more research that I did on it. The site is just down totally. That's interesting. Okay, well, I can't read you the actual article. I can just give you a high level of what I remember. I pulled it off of RT News today, and the article is titled Autism Research, Princeton's Machine Genome. So basically what they're sitting up trying to call themselves claiming is that they are trying to narrow down the gene for autism. Okay, and that they're using the Genome Project to do that. Well, let's first start with the doggone fact that autism, it's been around, or for 20-something years maybe? I'll even give it 30. Okay, so why did it just come out of the blue? That's number one. So if it just came out of the blue, how's it connected to some doggone genes? So now anybody that follows holistic medicine knows that there are proponents saying that autism is caused by what they are putting in the vaccinations, and that they are purposely targeting the vaccinations with autism against the melanated population, and specifically the boys, which is one of the reasons why autism, the numbers have a high level of young boys that come down with it. So what struck me about this article, number one, they trying to sit up and say that it's a gene. And then number two, soon as they said Genome Project, I'm like, oh, hell no, it's some stink in the game. So basically, for those not familiar with the Genome Project, this also kind of factors in what we've been studying with the Lost Book of Enki. But anyhow, the Human Genome Project is an international scientific research project with the goal of determining the sequence of chemical base pairs which make up human DNA, and of identifying and mapping all the genes of the human genome from both a physical and functional standpoint. It remains the world's largest biological project after the idea was picked up in 1984 by the U.S. government when the planning started. With the project formally launched in 1990 and finally declared complete in 2003, funding came from the U.S. government through the NIH, the National Institute of Health, as well as numerous other groups from around the world. A parallel project was conducted outside of the government by the Celera Corporation, or Celera Genomics, which was formally launched in 1998. Most of the government sponsoring sequences was performed in 20 universities and research centers in the United States, the United Kingdom, Japan, France, Germany, and China. The Human Genome Project originally aimed to map nucleotides contained in a human haploid reference genome, more than 3 billion. The genome of any given individual is unique. Mapping the human genome involves sequencing multiple variations of each gene. In May 2016, scientists consider extending the Human Genome Project to include creating a synthetic human genome. In June 2016, scientists formally announced Human Genome Project Right, a plan to synthesize the human genome. Okay, so basically to me, and that came off of Wikipedia Family on the explanation of the human genome. And everybody's always said, I've heard people say a couple of things, that that particular project, they were trying to break down the classification, the origin of man, to get down to who is whom. So going back to directly what we just discussed last week when we broke down the categories, whether or not you want to say nationality or beings, and we said the categories were what? Earthling, I'm going back to my notes, earthlings, mankind, and man. Okay, so people have accused them, those, if you want to call us in the conscious community, have accused them of trying to break us down to that particular DNA level and cellular level to pick out who is whom. So part of that human genome, they also go into the history, and they mention in here that they were particularly testing it on Homo sapiens. So that kind of raised my bell as well, because we've discussed this before on this show on how Homo sapiens is really a code word, and I'm going to pull this off of Wikipedia again. It is the binomial nomenclatin, also known as the scientific name, whatever, for the only extinct human species. Homo is the human genus, which is also includes Neanderthal and many other extinct species of hominid. H. sapien is the only surviving species of the genus Homo. Modern humans are the subspecies Homo sapiens, which differentiates them for what has been argued to be the direct ancestor Homo sapiens aldita, whatever that is, and you can go to that link to find out what that is. The ingenuity and adaptability of Homo sapiens has led to it becoming the most influential species on the planet. It is currently deemed of least concern on the red list of endangered species by the International Union for the Conservation of Nature. Okay, so I only bring all of this up, family, for two reasons. The first reason is when they started talking about the article and researching autism and linking it to the Genome Project, I'm like, well, bullshit. What you were really doing was you created autism through these vaccines, and you wanted to see how it impacted the DNA structure. Okay, that's why you're tying it to the Genome Project, which they have admitted that they've done all of this DNA study and they've documented it. Okay, so what they're doing, now this is just Rhonda's lowly opinion, family. What they're doing with this project, the Genome Project, they're categorizing all of the species. Okay, and it goes back to what we just talked about last week, the gene slicing that went on back to the beginning of documented time, based on what Zachariah Stitchin is saying with the earthling, mankind, man, and a Gigi. My bad, I knew I had forgot one, and a Gigi. And they are cataloging who is whom, and also probably documenting off of these first four known species, earthling, mankind, man, a Gigi, who's even a spinoff to that, because I truly believe there's been plenty of gene slicing going on since those first four derivatives that were documented. And I'm sure we'll get into that on the Lost Book of Enki. Brother Wendell will break all of that down. So I just wanted to bring that to the family, that whenever you hear them talk about that Genome Project, that's pretty much what it is. And you can go to Wikipedia and check out what the definition of Genome Project is. And as they're listing out, like Homo sapien, click on it. You'll get the definition of that. And then they even list some more, I call them species at this point. You can even click into those different species. So they are admitting that there are different beings or species on this planet. You just need to do a little bit more research. So I'll yield, Brother Wendell, in case you want to put something on that. I know that was a mouthful before we go on.
These folks are tripping. They got the history out here, and they know that stuff don't work, man. You tripping, breaking the laws of nature.
Exactly. They absolutely they know it, and they know the consequences of breaking the laws of nature, because that's what that whole the Island of Dr. Monroe was about. They didn't remake that damn movie so many times. I didn't know that movie went all the way back to the 30s, something like that. But anyhow, yeah, I didn't know they kept making it over. I thought the Marlon Brando one was the first one, but when I saw the one from the 30s, I said, get the hell out of here. But anyhow, that's what that movie was about. I'm sorry, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, well, I remember when I was real young, we all watched this thing in black and white. It was old as any time.
Okay, yeah, because I watch a lot of the old black and white movies, because, boy, you get a lot of knowledge. They straight told on themselves back then, but a lot of people didn't know what they were looking at. So when I saw that, come on, I said, oh, no, I'm going to straight cross my legs and watch this. So it pretty much followed what the other movies, all of the remakes were, but that movie was based on an island where they were doing gene slicing and gene manipulation. And we've heard from many other master teachers, from our late beloved Dr. Dilbert Blair to Bobby Hemmett to Dr. Valentine, that they had this island where they continue to do genetic experiments. And then somebody said that's when the whole thing came into play with after World War II. They brought over the Nazi scientists, and specifically they went to Argentina. And on one of the islands outside of Argentina, continued those genetic experiments. And that's what the whole movie, The Boys of Brazil, was about. Okay, so don't let them fool you when you hear that Human Genome Project. That's exactly what they're doing. They're breaking down everything from a DNA down to the cellular level. They're categorizing it and on by species. And as Brother Wendell said, they're taking that, trying to create derivatives or slicing and dicing new beings.
Mm-hmm.
So just be on the lookout. Let me see. I think Brother Khalid is hitting me up. What you saying, Brother Khalid? He is saying Argentina was the island that was home. Yes. Argentina was the island that was home. I know for the Nazis because it's reported that that's actually where Hitler died. So that makes sense as well. And that island was also where they were housing their experiments. So just pay attention when you hear them talk about that genome project, because it is some stink in the game for sure. Okay, so we are going to move on. We're going to get into the financial news. The ish done hit the fan. Okay, so a lot of things is going on. We had reported on the 8th, and this is out of our RT News, that a Philippine bank has been fined $21 million for cybersecurity of a Fed Reserve bank. It says Philippine Central Bank fines Rizal Bank $21 million on a cyber heist case. The Philippine Central Bank said on Friday it will fine Rizal Commercial Bank 1 billion pesos, which is $21.33 million, in relations to the Bangladesh bank heist. The central bank said that it was the largest amount it had ever approved as part of its supervisory enforcement actions on a bank. RCBC says separately that it will pay the fine over a 1-year period. Now, this particular bank, RCBC, was used as a conduit by cyber criminals to steal $81 million from the Bangladesh Central Bank account at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. And so, okay, let's talk about this family. We started hearing, what was that, Brother Wendell? Wasn't it last year they started with these damn cybersecurity bank?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me get my sign, y'all. First of all, it's some stink in the game. Because these banks, and especially when you get to the central bank level, it's either one or two things. They wanted it to be hacked, number one, or it was an inside job. I put 3 options, or it was both. Now, banking itself, they have such rigorous security standards that it is very, very difficult to infiltrate them. The only way they could really be infiltrated if it's like backdoor U.S. corporation / federal government type-ish, or it was somebody high level up in the food chain that worked for those banks that are doing the cyber heisting. That's number one. Now, I'm talking just regular bank. I'm talking J.P. Morgan and Shitty Bank and all of them. Now, when you get to the Fed Reserve Bank, which is the clearinghouse for all of the other banks, they're going to try to sit up here and convince moi that they are allowing, or somebody is able to infiltrate those banks at that level, and I don't care if it's overseas or not, without some type of inside help, or they wanted it to be compromised. So just pay attention to this. We started hearing them scream this story last year, if I don't know if y'all remember, when the U.S. Corp was accusing China of spying, tapping into their computer systems, into their banking, and, they're putting them at risk from a cybersecurity standpoint. And I said last year, they're conditioning the public for this massive banking security breach, and that they made setting it up is for one of their excuses why the system is in trouble or collapsing. So just pay attention to that. I don't like the way that sounds. I know the type of security that these banks have. It's very, very tight security, and for something like that to happen, it is not an average Joe Blow off the street. It's not even one of the hackers. You have to have either backdoor access, and to get the backdoor access, somebody inside had to damn give you the backdoor access. So this is an inside job, people. Okay, now also, although this isn't on the financial side, it's still talking about cybersecurity. We had where Delta Airlines this week was shut the hell down for a day and a half. They said because, quote, quote, computer problems. So that doesn't sit well in my spirit either, because you're talking across all of Delta was shut down. So something is also going on with that as well. I believe that they are testing the system for some type of emergency. So just pay attention to that. Okay, so Brother Wendell, do you have anything you want to put on that before I move on?
I'll just be glad that all that stuff is gone.
I know, because they're so full of ish.
I'll be glad they crash and burn.
Aren't they so full of ish? I'll just be looking at that stuff like, y'all must really think I'm straight up Willie Lump Lump, but I got to look at it and report it to the people, so they could see it for what it is, because it's definitely not the bull crap that they're talking. So in the midst of that, to show you how you got to look at everything to get a complete picture on why the other story was coming into play. Hold on, family. I hate when I pull up a website and they play these damn commercials. Hold on for me. Okay, so let me get out of that. Okay, so out of Bloomberg, and this article came out yesterday, and I said, see, I always know it's some ish behind when they come out with one story. There's always a reason why they have that story. This article came out of Bloomberg. This was yesterday, and the title of the article is China's Central Bank Plans to Push Increased Use of the Yuan Globally. Okay, and it says China's central bank said it plans to push the yuan's global use by seeking more cooperation with other countries and improving the infrastructure needed to support the wider use of the currency. The comments were included in a 3-paragraph statement posted on the People's Bank of China's website Wednesday on its forthcoming 2016 annual report on yuan globalization. The Monetary Authority didn't provide other details about the findings or say when the report would be published. The statement comes almost a year after China's August 2015 devaluation of its currency, which rolled global markets and sent stocks and commodity markets tumbling. The yuan share of global payments fell to 1.72% in June, lowest since 2014, while the currency's deposits in Hong Kong declined to a 3-year low. The People's Bank of China statement Wednesday also said infrastructure for yuan's internationalization will be improved, cross-border use under the current account will be increased and channels for yuan financing will be widened. It didn't elaborate on how it would achieve these goals. Use of the yuan, now this what blew my wig back, y'all. Use of the yuan as a reserve currency also will be increased, the central bank said. The International Monetary Fund will add the yuan to its special drawing rights in October. So, with that said, if you didn't catch nothing else, I'm going to read just this last two sentences. Use of the yuan as a reserve currency also will be increased, the central bank said. The IMF will add the yuan to its special drawing rights in October. So, folk, they pretty much told you in that last sentence that China has made an announcement that they will be the world reserve currency, and that the IMF is giving them that blessing to happen in October. Okay, so me personally can't get no more clearer than that. So just pay very close attention. I know most people don't read Bloomberg, but when I saw that, I'm like, whoa, well, this didn't make mainstream media, but everything else did. Along with people and allegedly and supposedly getting shot and all of that. But that piece of information didn't make the news. So did you want to put something on that, Brother Wendell?
Nah, let's keep it moving.
Okay. All right. Now, I do have a clip from Brother Jim Willie. He is on this YouTube financial channel called X22. And he published this. When did he go on this show? I think it was, okay, he went on that show, I want to say the 2nd. When did Jim Willie go on that show? Okay, yeah, he went on that show the 2nd of October. Okay, what I'm going to play for you, this 15-minute clip. Now, you just heard the article that I just read that came out the 10th. So just bear with me here. I want you to hear what he has to say. It'll take about 10 minutes, and then we're going to move on. So hold on a second. This is Jim Willie from the Hat Trick Letter, but he is actually a guest on a financial show called X22, and we're just going to play the first 10 minutes so you can get the gist of where we are in the financial system. So hold on.
We're going to see the biggest stampede, dumping treasury bonds and buying gold that the world has ever seen. This is on the other side of the Basel Conference and negotiations to retire the dollar from international contract usage and the discontinuation of the dollar in global banking systems. This will be a shockwave to the United States.
Hi, and welcome to the X22 Report Spotlight. Today we have a new guest, Jim Willie. Jim is the editor of the Hat Trick Letter. He is highly regarded as one of the leading experts on the gold and silver market. He is also highly regarded for his forecasts on currency-related collapses, bank defaults, predictions for gold and silver prices. You can find all of his work on thegoldenjackass.com, and I am very happy and actually honored to have him on the X22 Report Spotlight. Jim, welcome to the Spotlight.
Oh, it's good to be on this the first time, and just so people aren't confused, it's www.goldenjackass.com. No "the" in there. So GoldenJackass.com, that's where you can find it. I'm the editor of the Hat Trick Letter, and it's been 12 years and a few months, and my goodness, time flies. This is not exactly having fun, but it is certainly stimulating times.
Oh, it definitely is. And I wanted to start off with the European banks. And we see that they were just stress tests. And we know the Italian bank is in trouble. Seems like it might be a Portugal bank that's in trouble. Deutsche Bank, we've been hearing a lot about all of this. I mean, are these European banks, are they insolvent?
Oh, they're dead. I mean, what's keeping them running is the phony money. And here's a very big, true point about economics and finance. These banks, the leading banks in the West, the big banks, they're all dead. They're all insolvent. And they all would have been plowed under with bank failures if it weren't for quantitative easing by the Fed. QE is not stimulus. QE is liquidity provision to insolvent structures so that they do not declare bankruptcy. They're all dead. They're all holding phony financial books. Their accounting is all kooky. Just for an example, this is a wonderful example, Deutsche Bank. There was a fellow at Investment Dynamics who did an analysis of Lehman Brothers before and after their death, and he determined that his conservative calculations were off by 2.5 to 1. He was conservative. He knew that they were broken and dead and insolvent and going to rupture, and they did. They died. But when the dust cleared, and it was quite well known what their value was underwater, their negative, their red ink total, he was able to calculate, well, it was 2.5 times worse than I thought with my conservative calculation. He did the same kind of analysis using the same rules with Deutsche Bank and came up with minus $400 billion. And his 2.5 to 1 formula means that Deutsche Bank is worth minus $1 trillion with a pretty good estimate there. Most Italian banks are heavily negative. Tens, 20, maybe 100 billion for some of their largest banks. The Spanish banks engage in tremendously phony accounting, and they delay the inevitable by holding on their books real estate portfolios at their original value, not their current mark-to-market value. Portugal's deep underwater with their banks. And what's really causing the nightmare now is the attempts to clean up Deutsche Bank while other German banks are in ruin, like Bremen Landesbank. The Germans don't want a bailout, Dave. They don't want a big national bailout, because a bailout, according to EU rules, would force bail-ins of individual accounts. And they don't want a rebellion in the South. And the Italians, they don't take a kick in the groin very well. They get up and they start throwing things and burning things and killing people. So they don't want that kind of rebellion in Italy, because it would spread quickly to Spain, Portugal, and France. All these banks, these big banks, are ridiculously insolvent. They've been dead ever since Lehman Brothers. QE is nothing more. Remember all the different phrases we had? We had liquidity provision at the Fed, and then a different liquidity facility at the Fed. And then we had so many that we called them liquidity alphabet soup.
Yes.
It was a lot of different liquidity facilities to make sure that the big banks that were all insolvent did not run out of cash. Well, what was the movement of liquidity for? It was the Fed buying toxic bonds that didn't have any value at all and giving the banks money. It was slush money. They were buying broken assets, impaired assets, worthless paper. And the banks were kept from going under. They prevented a failure. One bank after another. Every single major U.S. bank major London bank, major French bank, major Spanish bank, Italian bank, and major German bank. Every one of them bankrupt. Kept going by an IV intravenous financial line coming from Bank of England, the U.S. Federal Reserve, and the Euro Central Bank. These are all dead banks. And you ask, what's the purpose of a stress test? Well, real easy. To deceive the public into thinking the banks are in good condition. There hasn't been a single stress test in a single country that turned out to be accurate, seen 1 year later with dead banks that passed their stress tests.
So how about the U.S. banks? We're talking about European banks. Are the U.S. banks in the same boat?
Well, yeah, they're even worse off.
So nothing was solved since 2008, where, of course, the Fed's out there, the president's out there telling us that everything is fine, the banks are strong, the economy's strong. You're saying absolutely not, where the banks are in terrible shape.
Well, the president has turned out to be a liar in chief. The Federal Reserve Chair has turned out to be an agent to supply funds for worthless bonds to their agent Wall Street banks. And nobody tells the public the truth. The truth is the U.S. economy has been in a deep recession ever since 2007. It never recovered. There's a fascist business model rule that if you're ever to describe the U.S. economy, you must call it a recovery. They go with the jobless rate that's really the unemployment insurance state level rate. And lots of people are falling off. The real unemployment rate in the United States is around 25%, but we're told that it's something like 5.8% or 6.2%. Yeah. Those are the percents of people that are collecting state unemployment insurance. And when they run out, remember the Obama administration a year and a half ago decided not to extend beyond 99 weeks and then not to continue the 99-week extension. So what he did was he said, this is really pathetic, but by discontinuing the extension to unemployment, Obama improved the jobless rate because those people fell out of the system and no longer were counted as unemployed, whereas before, during the extensions, they were continued as unemployed. The U.S. banks are in the worst shape of all. But they have a tremendous advantage, Dave, and you got to factor it in when you're looking at bank balance sheets. It's the narcotics, money laundering. The London banks, the U.S. banks, a couple of French banks, Deutsche Bank, they benefit enormously from narco money laundering that Langley does through the Afghan war. And all that's in jeopardy right now with the Turkish uprising where they've objected to the U.S.-led coup d'etat because Turkey is one of the principal stopping points for the distribution line of heroin. If you're ever wondering why did Jeb Bush back out of the presidential race, it's not because Trump was insulting his mommy. It was because Russia interrupted the ISIS and Saudi narcotics line that Papa Bush was running, and that was used to fund the Jeb Bush presidential campaign. Putin and the Russian military interrupted it, so Jeb came up with a phony excuse to back out of the race. He wasn't doing very well anyway, but and he was being insulted as being a mama's boy, and he had no idea what was going on with the Bush family antics. The Bush family is probably the largest crime syndicate in the world as far as assets under control. It's about $5 trillion. We're talking about 30 years of narcotics ever since the Vietnam War. Why did we get into the Yugoslav war, the Balkan breakup? Well, we decided we can go in there and capture Kosovo and capture the Eastern European heroin, make sure it doesn't get into the hands of the Chechens, and then into the hands of the Russians. So we've got a global monopoly, and the New York banks benefit tremendously. The Bank of America is Papa Bush's narco bank. That's his heroin and cocaine bank. Bank of America. And Citigroup is in charge of Panama and all the other, South American narcotics money laundering through Panama. So the American banks have an advantage with the narco. And if you think it's small, you're nuts. It's between $800 billion and $1.2 trillion a year. And the usual cut is something like 20% off that. So 20% off a cool trillion is $200 billion. So I've actually heard, Dave, this is hard for some maybe of your listeners to swallow, but I don't really care. I don't care. I just go and tell what's going on. And people who have blinders on who are recently coming out from under the earth with their ostrich heads stuck in the sand, they're coming out and I give them praise, but this is very tough to swallow. There's a lot of narco money running around, and it's keeping up the U.S. system. And it's involved with the Clinton campaign. It's involved with the Obama line. It's involved with the Bush II administration. There's a common thread through these recent administrations, and it's found in the State Department. The State Department is the neocons. The neocons don't change chairs. Obama had the same people from the Bush administration, the Bush II administration, running the State Department. Obama hired Hillary as his treasurer, as his state, Department of State, Secretary of State.
Defense, yeah.
No, Secretary of State.
Secretary of State, yes.
And the neocons continued in all their games, with the gun running through the Benghazi, Libya embassy. Now, this is very hard for people to swallow, but the U.S. has kept going from narco lines, and Russia has interrupted that. And now, by the president of Turkey making nice with Russia, after their economy basically went to hell in the following 8 to 10 months following the shoot down of the Su fighter jet, the Russian fighter jet by the Turkish military. The Turkish economy went to hell. Mm-hmm. Their tourism went down 80%. Their hotels along the coast turned out to be 95% empty. And Erdogan made peace overtures with Putin, and immediately the U.S. works up a coup attempt. This is threatening NATO. It's threatening the New York banks. It's threatening the Bush narco lifelines. This is what the United States has become following 2001 and the Patriot Act and 9/11. I call it the fascist business model. This is what the U.S. has become. The neocons are neo-Nazis. They destroy everything they touch. Every nation that we've been involved with in foreign policy, we've corrupted through narcotics, warmongering, and now the blowback is coming to the point where I think the United States is going to be tremendously isolated. We're going to be isolated.
Okay, family. So, again, that was financial analyst Jim Willie, and he was a guest on a show called X22. You can find that on YouTube. It's dated 8/2, and the title of it is "The Dollar Will Be Removed from International Trade, which will send shockwaves throughout the U.S." So, of course, there's much more to that video. I just wanted to give you all the first 15-minute flavor as he ran through the banking system, and it kind of backs up what we've been talking about over these last couple years, how all of these banks are insolvent. Okay, so with that said, we are going to move on. I don't want to take up any more time. Brother Wendell, did you have anything that you wanted to put on that? If not, we'll jump right into the Lost Book of Enki.
Yeah, hey, I've been telling y'all folks out there, you better use that little dollar while you can and get you some food and some water. And of course,
pack
some
a draw.
You better get with y'all think I be playing when I'm saying that.
I know.
Man.
I know. I mean, it can't get any clearer. Now, Jim Willie went on his little information. That was on the 2nd of August, and he's always been on it. I've been following him for the last couple years, and I've definitely learned a lot through him because he breaks down this financial system in common terms. But then I found, a couple days later where they're pretty much admitting that the yuan, China's currency, is going to be the world reserve currency, and that they're openly pushing it, and that the shit is going down in October. And I'm like sitting there with my mouth open, like, am I reading what I think I read? Let me read this again. I straight didn't read what I thought I read.
It's going down.
So I mean, can't get no more clearer than that.
Yeah.
So just pay attention, family, and, we'll leave it at that. I know we've gone over that many times.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, brother. So we're going to jump into the Lost Book of Enki. So I'm really excited about tonight rather. A couple people, quite a few people actually hit me up for the notes. So I did get that out to everyone. And again, you did an outstanding job on those notes. Seriously, it could definitely be a book the way you broke everything down. So we're going to get into it, family. So the last part that we left off, again, the highlights that I loved, again, we went back over breaking down all of the beings, or like Brother Wendell said, the first nationalities categorized on the planet. Now, the one that blew my wig back was the Earthlink, who are the test tube genetically modified beings. And then the Agigi, who are the fallen ones, the fallen angels. So that blew my mind, because when we got to talking about the wedding, and I forget, tell me again, Brother Wendell, who got married and how they took that opportunity to come down. Marduk.
Yeah.
Marduk, who was their leader. He married a Earthling, right?
Yep.
Okay, which is the modified person. Now, when he went to marry her, they were against it, but they went on and let him do it. But he gave up his position, meaning his standing of royalty, to marry this Earthling. So the Igigi, who are the fallen ones, so now let's remember, they are the fallen angels. So as Brother Wendell had pointed out, they had failed before they even came to Mars. So we don't know how many millions or billions of years they had straight up failed. Okay, so they were serving the Nibirians, and they were dispatched to Mars, and Marduk was over them. So they called themselves coming down to his wedding. So pretty much doing a wedding crashing. And so they took that upon themselves to start dipping and dabbing with the Earthlings. And so when Enlil Enki them found out about it, of course they confronted them, and pretty much Enki and who else co-signed this bull mess?
They all had to.
Right, but Enlil was the only one that made it vocal that he really don't agree with this bull S, because he
none of them really did agree with it, but after they talked to Anu about it, he gave him the ultimatum. He said, "Hey, let him do it, but he's gonna lose his birthright, basically.
Right.
He won't be able to come up here and bring her up here."
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah.
Right. So that's how all of that went down, and the Agigi with the Agigi mating with the Earthling, Now remember, the Gigi are the fallen angels. With them mating with the earthling, that's how we got the Nephilim. Okay? Yep. So now the Gigi and earthling, they kicking it, mating and all of that. And if you want to go to the book in the Bible, you can go into Enoch, the book of Enoch. It explains how stuff started getting out of control on the planet. And so then we got into when Noah was born, okay, and then how they were all scared because of the way he looked, basically like an albino, okay, with these light glittering eyes, and they hit the call for Enoch all the way up in another dimension. In another dimension, he was chilling in another dimension. He had to come back and explain to them, no, he's cool. He's got the right bloodline. He's going to be the one to hit his bloodline is going to be the leading bloodline because basically they get ready to clean house. So we left with the conclusion last week that that whole flood was twofold. Although it was about evil jumping off and getting these Nephilims under control, we all came to the conclusion that it was also about cleaning up the bloodline because the bloodline was tainted with the Igigi, the fallen angels, mating with the earthlings, which were already a modified genetic being. Mm-hmm. Which made the Nephilim. So that's what makes sense why the Nephilim was so out of control because it was odd, it was unnatural. Okay, and the blood had been watered down so much. So that's what we came to the conclusion that the flood, the great flood in Noah's time was about wiping out that bad bloodline. So, okay, so let me know if I left anything out, Brother Wendell, from last week.
Just one small detail on the bloodline piece. The reason they were still of the Nibirian bloodline is because it was Enki's blood that was used in the artificial insemination.
For the earthling?
Yeah.
Okay. Alrighty, and that makes sense, but I guess it had just gotten it did get so out of control that the bloodline had to be cleaned up. So, all right, Brother Wendell, I'll turn it over to you to get it cracking. So what tablet are we in now?
We are at the bottom of the fifth name chart, which is right at the end of the ninth tablet.
Okay, so let me, I should have had my notes.
On yours, it's around page 107, I believe it is.
Okay, and you go ahead on. I'm going to dig up notes. I should have had it up, so don't let me hold you up.
Yeah, it should be in, part 1. I think it's part 1.
Okay, all righty. I'll catch up with you. You go ahead on and get started.
Okay. All right, so Enlil was disturbed by the conjugations of the Egyptian earthling and daughters and distraught at Marduk's marriage to an earthling. His view was that the Anunnaki mission to earth had become perverted. Now, that excerpt I believe explaining how he felt about the whole thing. Enlil's sleepless because of the activity of the Egyptian earthlings. To him, the howling, shouting earthling masses and anathema became oppressive. The pronouncements of the earthlings have become. The congregations of sleep deprived me, so did Enlil to the other leaders say. In the days of our sutra, plagues and pestilences, the earth afflicted. Aches, dizziness, chills, fevers, the earthlings overwhelmed. We got a scripture right here, Genesis 6, 1 through 6.
Okay, Genesis 6, okay. All righty. Okay, I'm sorry. Genesis, you said Genesis 6, 1 through 6?
Yeah.
Righty. Okay. All right, Genesis 6, 1 through 6. And it came to pass, when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and the daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all, and they took them wives of all which they choose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he is also flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. There were giants in the earth those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bare children to them, the same became mighty men, which were of old men of renown. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thought of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart.
Now, people will misconstrue that, because I have seen and read on several occasions that they were calling Enlil Yahweh.
Yeah, I've seen that too, actually. Now that you say that, yes.
Yeah. But what you have to understand, is one phrase in the creation: let us make man in our image and after our likeness.
And they never could get past that when you say us. Then I heard the theory, well, the us meant Jesus, because Jesus was there with them.
Yeah, us means us. It don't matter who they are.
That's what I said. I said, okay, well, I mean, it does say plural, because y'all been teaching all these years up in the churches that it was one individual, but that clearly says us. So then they started changing it up when you had smart behinds like myself at the age of 12 and 13 saying, hold up, player, this says us. Oh, well, Jesus was there with, but player, that ain't what you just said. So very good point. So basically, that was Enki with the regret, or Enlil with that regret?
That was Enlil. See, he was already pissed off because of what was going on. Now they making carrying on, because remember, he had built his crib up in that area where the landing platform that he built. Up there in Lebanon. Yeah. So he had to listen to that.
Okay, so that was basically Enlil, and let me go back to that passage because something else had struck me as well. Now I will always read Genesis with like such a totally different light based on the Lost Book of Enki, because when he said that when men began to multiply on the face of the earth and daughters were born unto them, let me see. The one I wanted to look at is when it says that basically that man these were man's offspring. So
that's what they were saying.
So based on the classification, that meant man, the only one that's man, based on the classification that we broke down, man is equal to the Nibirians.
Right.
Right.
They were having children too.
Right, but their children were called mankind, though, right?
Right. If they had them with a earthling, they were called mankind. But the children of the Nibirians that were born on Earth were called Anunnaki. Because remember,
okay, that's true. Anu
is the one that made the distinction between them.
That's true, because it was other Nibirians down here already, and they were having children, so they were purely the Anunnaki. Yeah. But the men that had their offspring that were kicking it or mating with the earthlings, that's what they call mankind. So I found the only reason I'm bringing that up again is that now I just totally looked at that definition of man differently in Genesis, because now we enter and understand what they really meant.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all I want to say.
It helps you get your wheels spinning when you read any of the ancient texts. Because this is so detailed, and if you just take the time to read it and study it and go and look at different things, it's unmistakable.
Well, and and just even to this day, Brother Wendell, they're talking in code, because just like I just read earlier when they were talking about the Human Genome Project, and they talking about human. And Homo sapien, I'm like, it's right here in our doggone face. There's still, there are still classification of beings.
Yeah.
And they know who they are, because that's why they've been doing the DNA, taking the blood at birth, because they've been categorizing everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So they know who is whom.
Yeah, see, I knew, like, this is my personal opinion just from reading the whole thing and studying a lot of other stuff. I personally believe I knew made the distinction between them so that they would be able to keep up with the bloodline. Because there was no other way to do it.
That makes sense.
Because he knew who he had sent to Earth. He knew that. And he knew who he had sent. He knew who he had sent to Mars, and he knew they were going to be interacting with them in the process of getting the gold from here to Mars, so they can send it on to Nibiru. He knew they were going to interact with him, so he knew at some point something was going to go down.
And so that's when he instituted the nationality.
Yeah, and on top of that, he knew that son of his, Enki. He knew Enki liked the girl. Yeah, because you had to remember when they sent a Dapper up there to sin, and who was it? Nigga Sheeta gave him what we could say was a flash drive or whatever with a message on there, and when he saw it, he didn't know whether to get angry or to laugh, because he knew what Enki was all about.
So is that why, like, I've heard different ends of the spectrum on Enki. I've heard that, he is really throughout the Bible when they're talking about God, and especially now that I see it in Genesis, I especially see that they're speaking of him, because he was heavily involved in the creation with the earthling. But I've also seen others on the other side of the spectrum saying that he is kind of like a demon as well, because he created this other unnatural being, and that caused, although the fallen ones, they're responsible for their behavior, whatever, but that caused all of this mixing and caused the Nephilim to come on the scene, which was truly unnatural and causing all this problem. So now I kind of understand why I've seen both versions or both takes on Enki out there in different literature.
Yeah, well, see, what they don't do, because I read a lot of it too, they don't go into detail on why he was doing that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the only time in this text that he was playing around with the girl was when he tried to force Nimrod to have a son for him, because he wanted her to have a son for him.
Mm-hmm. And she already told him it wasn't going to happen.
And she sent him packing. So he go back years old later, have 5 more boys.
Right.
Well, of course, he had a couple of them with, concubines, but he went elsewhere and had children. He had to leave her alone. But as far as dealing with the experiment, he was doing that for the operation.
Yes.
Strictly for the operation. And on top of that, he may have been obeying the creator of all, as they call it, by being fruitful and multiplying.
That's a take on it. Okay, but now here's the other take, though. And we hear about this a lot. And I was also a big component of this, too, is that the reason why we, quote, quote, fail into such a lower vibration is because our ancestors did break the law of nature.
Yep.
By creating these beings.
Yep.
In a damn test tube. And then it's bad enough you did that. Let's start with that. Straight up wrong. It should have never happened because you wanted to move, go, whatever the case may be. It just never should have happened. Then on top of that, folks started breeding and dipping and dabbing. Are you MF serious? So that's the other theory behind it on why the total vibration started to fall and over time just got lower until we are where we are today. So that's the other part of the theory.
Yeah. And then on top of that, after mating with him, they kind of got rid of him for a while. They didn't want to deal with him. In other words, they abandoned the children.
Yes. So it was some S all the way around that never, ever, 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 it shouldn't have happened from out the gate.
Yeah.
And it appears that it's, the cleanup crew was Noah, and we just been continuing this cycle.
Yeah.
With different bloodlines or the same bloodline trying to survive. So very, very interesting. Okay, brother.
Yeah. All right, so that little excerpt right there at this point, the earth was being plagued with pestilences and plagues, and there was aches, dizziness, chills, fevers, and the earth was overwhelmed. Actually, it was making everybody sick. So Nimrod wants to teach the earthlings how to kill themselves, and Enki wants to teach them pond and canal building in order to sustain themselves. Enlil decreed forbid both of them by decree, both of their ideas, and said, let the earthlings by hunger and pestilence perish. Because he was sick of them. He was sick of that Noah because he couldn't get no sleep. So Enlil forbade. Now, who does that sound like? Does that sound like the United States Corporation? Wait a minute. Let me show you how down to earth this particular piece is in this book for right now. Don't you know there's a list of 50 naturopathic healers out here that's been knocked off?
Right. Absolutely. And people trying to say that our beloved Dr. Sebi, you can add him to the list.
Yeah.
You know, because they wanted him out the way as well.
Yeah. We see this right here. And this is, okay, I hate to skip down and give you this number, but I just want to make this real. This is at the point when they was on the earth 406,800 years. We still dealing with the same thing.
The same exact. Like I said, it's just a cycle.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right, in the last whereto the earthens had spread, waters did not rise from their sources. The earth shut its womb, and vegetation did not sprout. For one shard, the earthens ate the grasses of the fields. For the second shard, the third shard, the vengeance of Belial they suffered. Things were becoming unbearable in Shurabot, Zah-Sutra city, and Zah-Sutra, as a spokesman for the earthlings, goes to Eridu and to the house of Enki, pleading for help and salvation. But Enki was bound by Enlil's decrees. Like I said, this was when they had been on earth 406,800 years. And we still dealing with the same thing right today.
So not only were they, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said, and we still dealing with the same thing today, but it's even worse.
So not only were they, diseased up, and there was a cure for them, they were starving because the land appeared to not have the proper nutrients to be able to grow anything.
All right, check this out, though. Everybody, you missed this point right here.
Mm-hmm.
What was the first thing they did when that started happening?
Let me go back up. I'm trying to navigate. Oh, crap. Trying to navigate in the document. Okay, what did they do? Blah, 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 blah. Oh, I done lost my place, brother. I can't get to it.
Okay. The earth shut its womb, and vegetation did not sprout. For one shar, the earth ate the
grass. You mean? Yeah. That's what animals.
Wait a minute. You're missing it. They went back to the earth. They went to the earth.
Yeah, good point.
That's what the grasses of the field is. That's the herbs. They went to the herbs.
Got you. And I'm thinking about grasses. You know how when animals get sick, they'll go outside and eat grass.
Right.
I get your herbs.
Look what we just read. Number wanted to teach them how to kill themselves, but Enlil forbade her. So they had to figure out a way for themselves, so they went to the herbs.
Wow. Got it. Okay, I got that point. So they weren't that dumb. They knew to go out there in them fields and start digging up some stuff and making it happen. Got you.
Making their own little compound. You know what I'm saying?
Makes sense.
I thought that was real interesting for what's going on right now.
Yeah, it's very interesting because that's what we're suffering with today, where people are trying to eat from the earth with the herbs and as close to the vegetation as possible, but even that's tainted. It's not as pure as they used to be. So you're dead on point with that. It's the same thing that's happening today. I got to give it to you on that. Yes.
Yeah. All right. We got another excerpt behind that. Events that were affecting the earth for 4 shards, which is 14,400 years. In those days, the Anunnaki for their own survival were concerned. Their own rations were diminished. By earth changes, they themselves afflicted the Cain. On earth, as on Mars, the seasons, their regularity lost. for 1 shar, for 2 shars from Nibiru, the heavenly circles were studied. Oddities in the planetary destinies from Nibiru were observed. On the sun's face, black spots were appearing.
What?
From its face, flames shot up. There go them sun flares.
Exactly.
Kishar/Jupiter also was misbehaving. Its host, its footings lost, dizzying with their circus. The hammered bracelet was by unseen net forces pulled and pushed. For seasons unfathomed, the sun, its family, was upsetting. The destinies of the celestials by unsavory fates were overtaken. On Nibiru, the savants' alarms raised, and the public squares of people gathered. The creator of all, to primordial days, the heavens is returning. Angry is the creator of all. Voices from amongst the people shouted. On earth, the tribulations were increasing. Fear and famine, their heads reared. For 3 shars, for 4 shars, the instruments, the white land facing, were observed. By Nagal and Ereshkigal, odd rumblings in the white land's snows were recorded. The snow ice that the white land covers to sliding has taken. So did they from Abzu's tip report. In the land beyond the seas, Nanerta in his haven, foretelling instruments established. Quakes and jitters at the earth's bottom with the instruments he noticed. And odd matter is afoot. So the Enlil Ta'anu on Nibiru, words of alarm saying. I had a question right here. Is this the origin of radars, weather forecasting, and is this the origin of the seismograph for measuring movements of the earth or earthquakes?
Earthquakes. Yeah, and I guess, dang, if you don't mind just stopping there for one little second, because there's just so much was thrown up in that. Let's start with the fact that, let's go back up a tad. Let me move my little mouse up here. Let's start with that even the Nibirians, their little stash was dwindling.
Yeah.
Okay, now it clearly says that Mars, the Sun, Jupiter, even the Hamlet Belt, which is the asteroid belt today, all of that was out of whack. Now, I just had said beforehand that the vibration of the planet changed. It started being lowered. Is this the first sign of the vibrational changes in the planet? And then it goes on in the second little part to say that the sun started having black spots and flares. So that means to me the sun wasn't doing that before.
Right. This is actually the first account in the text that even refers to that.
Right. And then it started talking about the earth trembling, and which was earthquakes, and the weather patterns all off kilter. So which lets me know that none of that was really happening before now.
Right.
So obviously this was the first sign of the planet's vibration starting to lower.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. All right, brother. Man.
Oh, you missed a real big point now. You missed a real big point. It's highlighted too for you. Well, ease on down there. It's highlighted twice, back to back.
Okay. I know you said the origins of the radar and the weather forecasting and the earthquake.
No, it's above that. It's above that.
Okay, let me go above. Yeah, the creator of all. I was just going to wait till you drop that hammer on that. I wasn't even going to go with that because I'm like, what do they mean, creator of all?
It ain't but one thing that can mean. You got people out here calling them the creator and all that. Why are they referring to a creator of all?
Exactly.
The father of all beginnings. Huh?
So, are you saying that they were referring to Anu?
Oh no, that's the king of Nibiru. We're gonna get when we get on down in the text, you're gonna hear him refer to the creator of all in reference to creator of all.
You know what, brother? That's all I was trying to say. So I'm not gonna start no mess tonight. I noticed they didn't say Anu. They said the creator of all. I'm like, okay, what they mean, creator of all? So I didn't miss it. I just didn't want to be a mess starter. I picked that up. I'm like, ooh, this is deep, y'all. This is deep.
Yeah. Now you're getting a real good picture of why people
don't want to touch.
They don't mess with it because you got to change. You got to change everything.
You got to change everything. Exactly. Yeah, they don't want to mess with this book. Because when I saw the creator of all, I'm like, oh, really now? Well, I'm hoping they're going to identify the identity. This is interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah. Well, do you remember when we were going over the king's list?
Yes.
And Anshagal was the one who couldn't make decisions.
Right.
And he wouldn't listen to nobody but his wife. And she told him to pray to the Father of all beginning.
I missed that part.
It's two things. They call the creator of two things: the Father of all beginning and the creator of all. They reference him all the time in this book. Yeah.
Got you.
And you're going to see even Anu himself reverence the creator of all.
This is deeper and deeper. Got you.
I told you. All right. For the fifth shard and sixth shard, the events got stronger, and the savants on the Nibiru gave forewarnings to Anu, the king. The next time, all right, now hold on just a second.
Not the creator of all, but the king.
Thank you. Thank you.
I feel you. I'm with you.
The next time Nibiru nears the sun, Earth will be exposed to Nibiru's net force and will not have protection. Lamu, or Mars, in its surface will take its station on the other side of the sun, therefore will be protected. Kishar/Jupiter and its host, and Lahamu, Venus, shall shake and wobble. In the Earth's great below, which is the South Pole, the snow ice of the White Land, which is the Arctic Circle, is losing its footing. The next time Nibiru shall approach the Earth at its closest point, the snow ice will come a-sliding off the White Land's face. It will cause a calamity, a huge wave, a deluge will overwhelm the Earth. Let's look at Genesis 6:11-12. 11-12.
Ooh, this is getting juicy. And then remind me, I have something on Venus too, but we ran out of time. See how stuff work in divine order. It was a new article that came out today on Venus. Okay, so read that for me again. Genesis 6:11.
11 and 12.
Okay, 11 and 12. Okay. All righty. So that goes. The earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon earth.
All right. Preparing for the deluge. See, it's coming. And that's what they were talking about right there in the book. It's coming. Preparing for the deluge. On Nibiru, great was the consternation, uncertain about Nibiru's own fate. King, savants, and counselors about Earth and Lamu also greatly worried. The king and the counselors a decision made for evacuating Earth and Lamu to prepare. In the absolute, the gold mine shut down. Therefrom the Anunnaki to the Eden came. In Batibra, smelting and refining ceased. All gold to Nibiru was lofted. Empty, for evacuating ready, a fleet of fast celestial chariots to earth returned. On Nibiru, the heavenly signs were watched. On earth, the tremors recorded were. See, they recording the earthquakes back then.
The earthquake.
Yeah. While the Anunnaki were preparing for evacuating Earth, they got a surprise visit. Galzu, which was called the Great Noah, he was white hair, emissary, plenipotentiary of king and council, had been sent to deliver a message to the leaders on Earth. I had a little question right there. Is this a description of the first gray-haired Anunnaki?
Anunnaki, yep. That makes sense.
Yeah, but it's an even better question. Is this Gabriel, the messenger?
Oh, are you saying was that the what we know as the Archangel Gabriel?
Yeah, that's the question I'm asking.
You know what? I think you about right.
Hey, we're gonna see why I didn't put that question in the notes because at this point, whoever got these notes ought to be thinking now. You see what I'm saying?
You're right on that. Yes.
And just this question I just threw out there is actually gonna answer itself later on down in the text.
Okay. Ooh, dang, this is fire. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Gazu gives Enlil a sealed message from Anu. Enlil examined the seal of the message. It was unbroken and authentic. Enlil reads the message tablet, not message paper, message tablet.
Tablet. You know that was serious.
At Nibiru key. And its encoding was trustworthy.
The
message read.
They encoded the message now.
As what the book said. The message read, for king and council, Gazu speak. His words are my command. These were the words from Anu. Gazu requested that Enki and Nimba be summoned also. When they came, with a smile, he said to Nimba, we are of the same school and the same age. She could not remember him, and he looked so young, and she looked so old, like his mother. The matter was part of his mission, a secret concerning the evacuation.
Mm-hmm.
On the Nibiru, they had been examining those who returned from Earth since the Muzi stayed when he went to Nibiru with Adapa. Okay. Those who stayed on Earth the longest and returned to Nibiru were harshly afflicted. All right, here's 6 things that was going on with them.
Mm-hmm.
Their bodies were no longer accustomed to Nibiru's cycle. Their sleep was disturbed. Their eyesight was failing. The net force of Nibiru weighted their walk. Their minds were affected. Some were older than the parents they had left. And death came quickly to the returnees. All right, remember when Dumuzi and Negashita went up there with Adapa?
Mm-hmm.
He told Dumuzi to stay up there for a while.
Oh, that's right.
And Negashita came back with Adapa.
Mm-hmm.
This shows why he really stayed. They ran tests on him.
That was smart.
Yeah, they ran tests on him to see how the earth was affecting him. And you're gonna get the results of that on down towards the end of it. All right. The conversation. Right. You got something you want to put on it?
Only thing I want to put on it before I forget, and I'll read the article next week, but RT News, you all can go out and look at an article that they came out this week saying that there used to be life on Venus. And they started talking about how it had water and that it was the planet was comparable with how Earth was back in the day, and that something happened to change the course of Venus. So immediately when I read the article, I thought back to the Lost Book of Enki and all the activity that we're reading, and then tonight when you just came up on all that is going on and how Venus was impacted, it really made me think even more about that article. So that's the only thing I wanted to put on that, and the fact again that when they were doing the studies, they noticed how Earth was impacting the Nibirians. So it had to be something with the vibrational rate versus how Nibiru's vibration was versus Earth's. So very interesting, but that's all I want to put on it. Okay, I'm done.
Well, that's gonna be explained when we get on down a little bit further with the zodiac. That's gonna be that thing is crazy. It's nuts. But remember when Enki was on his way to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
They were scanning the planet to see if they had good water on them.
Yes. Yep.
So this book had already explained that what they talking about today.
Exactly, and that's what made me think of it, because as soon as they said, oh, and Venus, it has been discovered that Venus used to have water, I'm like, well, hell, the Lost Book of Enki told me that.
Yeah.
So you ain't telling me nothing that we ain't already known. So absolutely, brother.
Yeah. All right, we got an excerpt here. You see, I got a bunch of excerpts in here called. You can't just paraphrase it because there's too much in there. You'll miss something.
I mean, this is deep. So the excerpts are at like the bottom of the book.
No, the excerpts are coming right out of the book.
Okay.
See, what this is this is how I take notes. These are my actual notes that I'm reading. But when I say an excerpt, it just comes straight out of the book. I ain't breaking it down and doing nothing. I'm coming straight out there because, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, these excerpts are pretty heavy then.
Yeah, and it was no other way to do it because I would leave something out.
Yeah, this is pretty heavy. Okay, I got it.
Yeah, all right. The conversation after the three leaders get the bad news and their message from the king. Nema was the first to speak. That much was to be expected, she was saying. Enki, the wise one, to her words consented. That much was clear, he said. Enlil with anger was seized. Before, the earthlings like us were becoming. Now we, as earthlings, have become to this planet imprisoned. And go out of Jones, that's where you get prison planet from.
Yep, right there.
Yeah, this whole mission to a nightmare turned by Enki and his earthlings from masters, slaves we were made. To the outburst, Gazoo with compassion listened. Indeed, much there is to ponder, he said. On the Nibiru, much thinking and soul-searching, deep questions were raising. Should Nibiru to its fate then left, whatever by the creator of all intended. Now that goes Gazoo, referencing the creator of all.
It sure is. Yep.
Whatever by the creator of all intended to be, let to happen. Or was the coming to earth by the creator of all conceived, and we only unwitting emissaries? Of that, my comrades, the debate will continue. So was Gazoo to them saying, now this is the secret command from Nibiru. The three of you on earth will remain, only to die to Nibiru you will return. In celestial chariots, the earth encircling, the calamity you shall outweigh. To each of the other Anunnaki, a choice to leave or the calamity outweigh must be given. The Ajiji, who earthlings espouse, must between departure and spouses choose. No earthling, Marduk Sophonet included, to Nibiru to journey is allowed. For all who stay and what happens see, and celestial chariots their safety must seek. As for all the others to depart from Nibiru forthwith, they ready must be. So did Gazoo Nibiru's commands to the leaders in the secret revealed. Now, everybody never back and say, y'all got to stay. But anybody who want to go back, you can't bring them earth with you. You got to leave that down here. including Marduk.
That's deep.
Yeah. Now you got to keep in mind too. Now we just went over the Creator of all, and they saying, and Gazoo brought this message from the King. Right? Keep that in your mind for later on.
Got you. Okay.
All right. How the Anunnaki decided to abandon Earth and take an oath to let the Earthlings perish in the deluge. In Hebrew Key and Lil, a council of Anunnaki and the GG commanders summoned. The leaders' sons and their children also were present. Word of impending calamity and led to them as a secret revealed. To a bitter end, Earth mission has come. To them, he solemnly said, all who to leave wish in celestial boats that are ready to Nibiru will be evacuated. But if earthling spouses they have, without the spouses they must leave. Igigi, who to their spouses and offspring attached are, let them to the highest peaks on earth escape. As for a few of us Anunnaki who would choose to stay, in boats of heaven and earth skies will we remain. The calamity to outweigh, the fate of earth to witness. As a commander, I should be the first one to stay. So was Enlil saying. By their own choice will be the others. With my father, I choose to stay, the calamity to face, so did Nanerta announce. To the land beyond the oceans, after the deluge, I will return. Nanar, Enlil's on earth firstborn, and our wish announced. The deluge to outweigh, not in earth skies, but on the moon. That was his wish. Enki and eyebrow raised. Enlil, though puzzled, approved. Ischur, Enlil's youngest, to remain on earth with his father, his decision made. Utu and Inanna, Nanar's children who on earth were born, to stay declared. Enki and Ninki to stay on earth not abandoned chose. Proudly they so announced. Their Gigi and Sarpanit I shall not desert, Marduk with anger stated. One by one, Enki's other sons, their choice to stay announced. Nagal and Jabil, Nenagal and Ningashila and Demuzi too. All eyes to Nimba them turned. With pride her choice to stay, she declared, my life work is here. The earthlings, my created, I should not abandon. By her words, Anunnaki and Gigi to a clamor was stirred. About the earthlings' fate, they inquired. Let the earthlings for their abominations perish, so did Enlil proclaim. A wondrous being by us was created. By us saved it must be, Enki to Enlil shouted. To this, Enlil with his own shouted words retorted. From the very beginning, at every turn, the decisions by you modified were. To primitive workers, procreating you gave. To them, knowing you endowed. The powers of the Creator of all into your hands you have taken. Thereafter, even that by abominations you filed. With fornication, a doppel you conceived, understanding to his line you gave. His offspring to the heavens you have taken. Our wisdom with them you shared. Every rule you have broken, decision and command you ignored. Because of you, by a civilized earthling brother, a brother murdered. Because of Marduk, your son, the Gigi, like him, with earthlings intermarried. Who is lordly from Nibiru, to whom the earth alone belongs. To no one is no longer known. Enough to all that, I say. The abominations cannot continue. Now that a calamity by a destiny unknown has been ordained. Let what must happen, happen, so did Enlil anger proclaim. That all leaders solemnly swear to let events unhindered occur, of all Enlil demanded. First to take the oath of silence was Nanerta. Others of Enlil's side followed. Nagal and Enki's sons was first to take the oath. Others of Enki's sons followed. To your command I bow, Marduk to Enlil said. But of what worth is the swearing? If a Gigi, their spouses will abandon, would not the fear among the earthlings spread? Nimba was in tears. The words of the oath she faintly whispered. Enlil at his brother Enki gazed. It is the wish of the king and council, to him he said. Why will you bind me with an oath? Enki, his brother Enlil asked. The decision by you was made. On earth it is a commandment. The flood waters I cannot arrest. The earthling multitudes I cannot save. So what oath to bind me you therefore desire? So the Enki, his brother, asked. To let it all happen as if by fate decreed. Let it as Enlil's decision be known. On Enlil alone, let the responsibility forever rest. So the Enki to all pronounced. Then Enki from the assembly departed. Marduk with him also left. With quick words of command, Enlil the assembly to order brought. Task for what was to be done, he with firm decisions assigned. Between those who would depart and those who would stay, the grouping arranged. Places for assembly to designate, equipment to collect, chariots to assign. First to depart with those who to Nibiru were returning. With much embracing and locking of arms and joy mixed with sorrow, the celestial boats they boarded. One after the other, the vehicles from Separ roared along. At first, those left behind journeyed safely, shouted then, muted with their cries. After the launches toward Nibiru completed were, the turn of Marduk and the Gigi with earthling spouses came. Marduk, them all on the landing place assembled. A choice to them he gave. With him and Sarpanit and 2 sons and the daughters to Lahamu, go. There the calamity outweigh. Or to distant mountain lands on earth dispersed. A haven from the deluge defined. You can see them splitting up and going all kind of ways. But the first thing they made sure to do was anybody who wanted to return home, they let them come home.
But it seems like it appears that the main players per se, all of them wind up staying.
Right.
But we see where they dispersed. Very interesting.
Yeah. Okay. Enlil then of those who remained took account. By groupings to them chariots he assigned. The nerder to the mountain lands beyond the oceans, Enlil directed on earth's rumblings to report. To Nagal and Erishkagal, the task of white land to watch Enlil assigned. To guard against an onrush of earthlings, to Ishkur, the task Enlil gave. To bar access, barrier, and bolt, to erect and bolster. Of all preparations to Par, the place of the chariot, celestial chariots was the center. To Sapar, Enlil, the tablet of destinies from Nibiru Key moved. A temporary bond heaven earth was there established. His brother Enki Enlil then addressed. To him, he was thus saying, however, if ever, the calamity might be survived, let all that had happened be remembered. Let us tablets of records in Sapar, in the depths of the earth, safely buried. Let what from one planet on another done in days to come uncovered be. Enki, his brother's words, was approving, accepted. Medes and other tablets and golden chests they stored. Hold on just a minute right there for a second. What they tell you in this book is they buried all those cylinder seals and tablets and everything. So that it could be found later.
That's exactly what they're saying. Hence, the writing of Zechariah Stitchin, where he was pulling off of those Sumerian tablets, translating from cuneiform.
Yeah. That's it. All right. In the depths of the earth, in Sapar, for posterity they buried. They thus ready for the signal to depart, the leaders awaited. The approach of Nibiru in its great circuit with apprehension they watched. It was at that time of anxious waiting that Enki his sister Nimrod addressed. To her was Enki thus saying, in this preoccupation with the earthlings of all other living creatures, Enlil lost attention. When the avalanche of water sweeps over the lands, other living creatures, some by us from Nibiru, originated, most from earth itself evolved. In one sudden swoop to an extinction shall be doomed. Let us, you and me, their seed of life preserve, their life essences for safekeeping extract. Never,
Lord.
She who gave life to the words of Enki favor gave. I should do it in Shurabak. You do so with the Abzu's living creatures. So to Enki, she said, while the others sat idly waiting, Enki and Nimba a challenging task undertook. Nimba and Shurabak, by some of her female assistants, were helped. Enki by Ningashila in the Abzu at the olden house of life was assisted. Male and female essences and life eggs they collected. Of each kind, two by two, they and Shurabak and an Abzu preserved. For safekeeping while in Earth's circuit to be taken back after the living kind to recombine. At that time, word from the Nerda came, Earth's rumblings, omnibus world. At that time, word from the Gaul and Ereshka Gaul came. The white land is shaken. In Sapar, all the Anunnaki gathered. The day of the deluge, they waited.
Okay.
Now,
so,
do you see
know
what
you're gonna have to stop.
yeah,
you're gonna have to stop.
We
can't even we can't even go to this other tablet until we break all that down. Okay, so let me get my mind together. So basically, Rum, what you saying is that
I ain't saying nothing.
They all agree.
That's going straight out the book.
Okay, straight up out the tablets. What basically happened is all of the major players decided to stay there, and some of the Anunnaki, they did get the hell out of Dodge and went back. Okay, but this the part that just straight blows my wig back is that Enki and what's the face? Ninma, am I reading this correctly that they gonna sit up on their asses and gather eggs and DNA from the different beings? They put them to the side.
Read that. You misread that. Remember you remember when Noah was putting together the ark?
Because that's what I gathered, that it was like the Noah with the two of a kind and all of that.
Yeah. 2 by 2. They took the eggs and the DNA. They had to get all that together.
So, was that the DNA of, but see, where I'm going with that is, I got the point, and my bad for kind of glossing over that's really talking about the story of the ark, right? Of gathering the different species together so everything could be recreated. Yeah. But my point being, was that also the other species that was supposed to be wiped out?
I said the living creatures. It didn't say the earthlings.
I'm looking at the sideways.
The earthlings and the Gigi is they targeted.
Okay, well I'm looking at it sideways. Okay, my bad, Enki, y'all. So y'all was basically
you can take it wherever you want to. You know what I'm saying?
Because I get that they was gathering up the different species, just like they said Noah and them was doing in the Bible with gathering up the animals and plants, right? And they gathered the male, they gathered the female, so they could recreate things. But I don't know why, just something in my crawl said they was gathering other species as well. But I ain't going to accuse them falsely, but I get your point that this is really talking about the story of Noah and the ark with gathering the animals.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. Okay. Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting.
What'll help you kind of clear that up? You had to go back up and say and look at other living creatures. Some by us from the Biru originated. Most from Earth itself evolved.
Yeah, that's true. That makes sense.
See, remember they had brought a lot of animals from Nibiru, the sheep and stuff like that.
Right, which makes sense why, I don't know, I know you've probably heard of the theory that the dolphins came from,
yeah.
Another, planet, which, they probably came from Nibiru. So, okay, so I'm going to give Enki and them a little bit of slack on that.
Yeah, well, you can, hey, I ain't here to tell nobody what to think. I'm just trying to get you to think. You understand what I'm saying? You can take it wherever you want to take it.
Because maybe it's going to be explained. Because my whole thing to the matter is, how did the Nephilim wind up surviving? And maybe that's going to be explained in here.
Yeah, it's going to be explained.
Okay, so I'm gonna leave that judgment right where it's at until we get the explanation on how they straight survived.
As a matter of fact,
okay,
we'll wait till we get to the next
I could wait. Chart. So I'll take my side. Okay, I'll take my side eye off of them for now.
All right, this is the 10th tablet. As the Anunnaki are waiting in Sapar for the day of the deluge, Enki has. Let me stop and just explain what Sapar is. Sapar is right up there where today Babylon and Baghdad is, right below that, up in that area. That's what Sapar is.
Mm.
And that city still exists. As the Anunnaki are waiting in Sapar for the day of the deluge, Enki has a dream vision. In his dream vision, a man appears, bright and shining like the heavens. Enki recognizes the man because he is white-haired. It is Galzu. In his right hand is an engraver's stylus, and his left hand is a tablet of lapis lazuli, a blue stone. As Galzu approached Enki's bedside, he reminds Enki that his accusations against Enlil were unnecessary because he was only speaking the truth. He also let Enki know that the decision, known as Enlil's decision, was decreed by destiny and not by Enlil. Galzu instructs Enki to take fate into his own hands, for the earthlings will inherit the earth. That's Matthew 5:5.
Ooh, wait a minute. Wait. Let me get there. So let me get there, family. Stop playing with me. Matthew 5:5. I know what it's going to say, but I just want to read it officially. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. So the meek equals the earthling, while I be doggone.
He tells Enki to summon Sutra and reveal to him the coming calamity without breaking the oath, and telling him to build a boat that can withstand the deluge. He then adds, let him in it save himself and his kinfolk, and the seed of all that is useful, be it plant or animal, also take. That is the will of the Creator of all. Then, with the stylus, Galzu drew an image on the tablet and placed it at Enki's bedside. Enki wakes up wondering what the dream vision meant, and as he stepped off his bed, he sees the tablet. He was startled and trembled as he picked up the tablet. As he looks at the tablet, he sees the design of odd-shaped boat, and at the edge of the tablet, the markings of the boat's measurements. Is this the origin of the term blueprint? Because remember, they wrote it on the lapis lazuli. You see that picture of lapis lazuli down there?
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I guess the thing. I'm sorry, do you have that? I know I'm gonna be trying to find that, right?
I got a pyramid like that.
I'm gonna be trying to find that stone. Wow, I'm gonna have to go get that pyramid. That is tight. It's beautiful. But okay, so the other thing that I was kind of chuckling when you were reading that you say Gabriel or Galzu was straight standing there drawing on the Android tablet.
Thank you.
Man, I'm like, hell to the no. That's what it sounded like to me he was doing.
Now, he actually wrote this on the stone, on lapis lazuli.
Okay, all right.
He actually wrote that on lapis lazuli. And you're going to find out later on what else they did with that stone, too.
Wow, it's a beautiful stone. I'm going to have to go try to find that stone. I really like it.
Yeah.
I like
but
the
see,
color.
But see, the most important point in that right there is that's where we get blueprint from.
Yeah, it makes sense if he wrote on the actual blue stone and he, gave him a print of the ark with measurements. That is a blueprint.
Yeah.
All day long.
What?
So that's where that term comes from.
That thing is still in the dirt somewhere.
Oh,
remember, this is before the flood.
True that. They done probably dug it up, though, brother. They dug it up and it's hidden somewhere.
They got it somewhere.
Yeah, they done dug it up because they know the region now. Let's say even if, because there's still that controversy of, did this really happen in the Middle East or did it happen in what we know today as the Americas, specifically South America? Either way, they know it had to be one or the other. So they didn't comb them lands and they didn't found that.
Mm-hmm.
They can't miss that stone. And for those of you that have the notes, you're looking at what I'm looking at on page 112. It ain't no damn way they can miss that if they, dig and see the drawing of that ark. Oh my gosh. I know that's a sight to see.
I know it is.
Wow.
Now, one other point, since you raised the point about was it over here or over there?
Mm-hmm.
Later on, I got it in here somewhere because it came up again, but not in its context. But lapis lazuli is found mostly over there in Afghanistan.
Mm-hmm.
So where would he get that from?
Okay. So that would place it over there then.
Yeah.
Okay. That will place it over there. That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, I got, like I said, I got on down in here. I got a map that shows all that stuff too.
Yeah, and that's a good way. I'm glad that you brought that up because when I was doing some research as well, and they start mentioning different stones, trees, all of that, that's what I would do. I would trace the origin.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you find out if it's rare and it's only in that particular area, then conclusion says that's got to be the area where that particular event happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, so very good. I'm glad you brought up that point.
Yeah. At sunrise, Enki sent for his emissaries and instructed them to find Galzu. They all came back at sundown and tell Enki they can't find him and that he returned to Nibiru long ago. Enki was baffled as he was trying to comprehend what was happening. Although he was unable to figure out what was happening, the message was clear. That night he sneaks to Zalsutra's reed hut house, and not breaking the oath, he talks to the wall. Enki speaks to the reed hut wall. Wake up to the reed hut wall, Enki was saying. From behind the reed screen, he was speaking. When Zalsutra, by the words, were awakened to him, Enki, from behind the reed screen, said, reed hut, to my words pay attention. To my instructions heed pay. On all the habitations over the cities, a calamitous storm will sweep. The destruction of mankind and its offspring it will be. This is the final ruling. The word of the assembly by Enlil convened. This is the decision by Anu and Enlil and Nema spoken. Now heed my words. Observe the message that to you I am speaking. Abandon your house, build a boat, spurn possessions, save the life. The boat that you must build, its design and measurements on a tablet are shown. By the reed hut's wall, the tablet I shall leave. Make sure that the boat should be roofed throughout. The sun from the inside must not be seen. The tackle must be very strong, the pitch strong and tight to ward off the water. Let the boat be one that can turn and tumble, watery avalanche to survive. In 7 days, build the boat. Into it, your family and kinfolk gather. In the boat, food and water for drinking heap up. Household animals also bring. Then, on an appointed day, a signal to you shall be given. A boat guide who knows the waters by me appointed to you that day will come. On that day, the boat you must enter. Its hatch tightly closed you must. An overwhelming deluge coming from the south. Lands and life shall devastate. Your boat from its moorings it shall lift. The boat it shall turn and tumble. Fear not. To a safe haven the boat guide will navigate you. By you shall the seed of civilized mankind survive. When Enki's voice fell silent, Agog was Zasushi. That means he was excited. On his knees, prostrate, he fell. My Lord, he shouted, your voice I heard. Let me see your face. Not to you, Zasushi, have I spoken. To the reed hut will I speak. So Enki said, by Enlil's decision, by an oath of hell, I am bound to that all the Anunnaki swore. If my face you shall see, surely, like all earthlings, you will die.
Wow.
We need to stop there. We need to stop there.
You want me to get them verses right quick?
Yeah. We'll skip Genesis 6 because we already kind of touched on that.
Yeah, we get. Okay, what's the next one? Cause
Exodus 33:20 and John 1:18.
Okay, so Exodus 33:20. Okay, let me get this one. Okay, come on. Okay, so Exodus 33:20, and he said, "Thou canst not see my face, for there shall no man see me and live." Wow. Okay, what's the other one?
John
18.
1 and 18.
Okay, John 18. Okay, and so that one is, no man hath seen God at any time, the only begotten Son, which is in the bosom of the Father, he hath declared him.
All right.
So just to make sure I'm clear, because what was kind of throwing me a little bit was this wall situation.
Well, you got to remember what just happened. Enlil made them swear an oath that they wouldn't let the earthlings, or, see now, you got to remember two things. It's two things going on here. You got wordplay. Earthlings, civilized mankind.
Yep, I saw that.
You see what I'm saying?
I peeped that.
You see what I'm saying? But he had made everybody, Enlil had made everybody swear an oath that they wouldn't tell them what was fixing to happen.
Oh, that's right.
So Enki really wasn't supposed to go and talk to him face to face. So he talked to the wall to keep from breaking his oath. And guys, who told him how to do that, what to do? He told him to go and talk to him.
Oh, hell no. Okay, I'm with it.
Yeah.
So, who is Zalzu, though?
We're going to find out.
Okay, my bad. Okay, I'm jumping the gun. So basically,
I just put it out there. I just asked the question: Is that Gabriel? But like I said, we're gonna find out. We're gonna find out.
Okay, so, but that's deep though, because the way the Bible in those particular passages we read, Exodus 33:20, and John 1:18, they're putting it like, but you know what, in their defense, now we know that when they use the term God, you got to be careful. Which God are they referring to?
Thank you.
Damn. Deep. You can't tell me this ain't deep. Okay, I'm with you, brother. So he basically, in order to not break his promise, looked at the wall. He told him, look at the wall. Talk to the wall. You're not really talking to me.
Yeah.
Because if you talk directly to me, then the earthlings, mankind, and them, they gonna die. Dang. Got you.
Yeah. All right. Now read her. To my words pay heed. See, he don't even say his name. He always said read her.
Yeah, and that's what was throwing me out. That's what was throwing me off right there. Okay.
Yeah. See, he had an oath not to speak to him. So he said he talked straight to the reader.
Got you.
All right.
Okay, so now I'm know what's going on.
Yeah. A couple of one other thing up here. Another point. He told him to get his family and kinfolk. He also told him to take his household animals.
Yeah, when I saw that, I'm like, okay, so that's just like today. If you got your immediate family, so, meaning yourself, your children, your husband or wife, maybe your mother-in-law, all of that, and then you have a cat and a dog and a bird, put them on there too, right?
Yeah, but see, that goes back to what we just went over. There was no need to tell him to start trying to collect animals, to take your personal household animals,
right? Because Enki and What's-the-Face was doing that.
Because they already getting the rest of the stuff together for you.
Exactly. So now this story makes a lot more sense that there was individual boats for each family, and you can even bring your animals, make provision for your animals, because the rest of the species, they were already, the DNA samples were already being gathered for them.
Yeah. But see, now you got to remember something.
That makes a lot more sense.
This was still one boat. It was one boat they got on. It was one boat.
Okay.
But see, if you're looking at the story in the Bible, people are asking this question: how do they get all the animals on there? There's only one way to get them on there is to take their DNA.
Right. And so, so even if it's still one boat, if you just doing DNA, then you can categorize that.
Yeah, you good. You can put all of it on there.
Wow, this makes a hell of a lot more sense.
See, that was God's future, his immediate family, and his kinfolk, and his pet, and the rest of it was DNA and eggs.
Yep, DNA and eggs. It makes perfect sense, and probably some plants.
Yeah. Of course, the plants are included in that.
That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah. Okay. All right. The purpose of the boat, a secret of the Anunnaki, with you must remain. When the townspeople will inquire, to them you will say, the Lord Enlil with my Lord Enki has been angry. To Enki's abode in the absolute I am sailing. Perchance Enlil will be appeased. For a while a silence followed. Valsutra from behind the reed wall came. A tablet of lapis lazuli, in the moonlight shining, he saw and picked up. The image of a boat upon it was drawn. Notches its measurements gave. wisest of civilized men was Zalsutra. What he had heard, he understood. The next morning, after Enki had delivered a message to Zalsutra, he announces to the townspeople that he can no longer reside there because Enlil is angry with Enki and therefore hostile toward him. So he plans to sail to Enki's domain, the Absolute. All right, the excerpt. Zalsutra builds the boat. In this city I no longer reside, Cain, nor in the Eden my foot any more set. To the Absolute, the Lord Enki's domain, I will there a sailing go. In a boat that must quickly be built, I will away from here depart. Thereby the Lord Enlil's anger will subside, hardships will end. Upon you the Lord Enlil abundance henceforth will shower. The morning was not yet gone when the people about Zalsutra gathered. To speedily for him the boat build, they each other encouraged. Timbers of boat wood the elders were hauling. The little ones bitumen from the marshes carried. As woodworkers, the planks together hammered. Zalsutra in a cauldron in the bitumen melted. With bitumen the boat he waterproofed inside and out. As in the drawing upon the tablet, the boat on the 5th day was completed. Eager to see Zalsutra depart, the townspeople to the boat, food and water brought. From their own mouths sustenance they took. To appease Enlil they were in a hurry. 4-legged animals into the boat were also driven. Birds from the field by themselves flew in. Into the boat Zalsutra, his spouse, and sons made embark. Their wives and children also came. Any who to the abode of the Lord Enki wish to go, let them too aboard come. So did Zalsutra to the gathered people announced. In visiting Enlil's abundance, only some of the craftsmen the call heeded. On the 6th day, Ningal, Lord of the great waters, to the boat came. A son of Enki he was. To the boat's navigator he was selected. A box of cedar wood in his hands he held. By his side, in the boat he kept it. The life essences and life eggs of living creatures it contains, by the Lord Enki and Nema collected. From the wrath of Enlil to be hidden, to life resurrect if earth be willing. So did Ningal to Zalsutra explain. Thus were all beasts by their tools in the boat hidden. Now Ningal and Zalsutra in the boat, the arrival of the 7th day awaited. Is this the origin of Noah preparing for the flood?
Yeah. Genesis 7. I finally figured out who he was when we were going through this.
Yeah. All right, let me read the rest of it before you read that.
Okay,
in the 120th Shar, there's 432,000 years they were on earth, was the deluge awaited. In the 10th Shar, in the life age of Zalsutra, at this time he was 36,000 years old, was the deluge forthcoming. In the station of the constellation of the Lion, which is Leo, was the avalanche looming. Does this mean that Leo is associated with or dedicated to Zalsutra or Noah?
Wow.
All right, let's read Genesis 7.
Okay, and before we read Genesis 7, let me break down. Now, you done started some mess with this excerpt. Okay, so if they're saying that the constellation Lion Leo, what tribe represents the lion? Judah. So that's interesting, right?
Yeah.
Because we associate the strong bloodline as coming through Judah. Everything happens when Judah rises, right? That's what the prophecy states. So that's number one. That's the bomb right there. Glad you pointed that out. Now, number 2, let's break down these shards. It was saying that in the 120th shard, that's 120 times 3,600 equals 432,000. So you add 4 plus 3 plus 2. 9. Okay. In the 10th shard, in the life age of, how do you pronounce it? Is it Zardra?
Zalsutra.
Zayazudra. 10 times 3,600 equals 36,000. 3 plus 6 equals 9.
Yep.
Everything was done in divine order. 9 is the number of completion. So, okay, let's go to Genesis 7.
And then you got, wait a minute, then you got 2 9s. That's 18, which is 9.
Right, 1 plus 8. True that. 1 plus 8 equals 9. Dang. Okay.
Now let me show you something. Let me show you something else on that 18.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how true it is, but I ran across something, and this individual was saying that we are in the 18th galaxy.
Yeah, true. Dang on it. Hot diggity dang. Yes, because Anu was in the 19th.
Yeah. Yeah.
And according to the Holy Tablets, we're in the Holy Tablets, we're in the 18th galaxy.
Yeah.
That's deep. That's deep. Okay. Okay. All right. So Genesis 7, and the Lord said unto Noah, Come thou and all thy house into the ark, for thee have I seen righteous before me in this generation. Of every clean beast thou shalt take to thee by sevens, the male and his female, and of beasts that are not clean by 2, the male and his female, of fowls also by the air by sevens, the male and the female, to keep seed alive upon the face of all earth. And so they did kind of say seed right there, but anyway. For yet 7 days, and I will cause it to rain upon the earth for 40 days and 40 nights, and every living substance that I have made will I destroy from off the face of the earth. And Noah did accordingly until all the Lord commanded him. And Noah was 600 years old when the flood of the waters was upon the earth. And Noah went in, and his sons and his wife and his sons' wives with him into the ark because of the waters of the flood, of clean beasts and of beasts that are not clean, and of fowl and of everything that creepeth upon the earth. There went unto Noah into the ark the male and the female, as God had commanded Noah. And it came to pass after 7 days that the waters of the flood were upon the earth, in the 600th year of Noah's life, in the 2nd month, the 7th day of the month, the same day were all the fountains of the great deep broken up, and the windows of heaven were open. And the rain was upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. In the selfsame day entered Noah and Shem and Ham and Japheth, the sons of Noah, and Noah's wife, and the 3 wives of his son with them into the ark. They and every beast after his kind, and all the cattle after their kind, and every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth after his kind, and every fowl after his kind, every bird of every sort. And they went in unto Noah into the ark, 2 and 2 of all flesh, wherein is the breath of life. And they went in, male and female of all flesh, as God had commanded him, and the Lord shut him in. And the flood was 40 days upon the earth, and the waters increased, and bare up the ark, and it was filled up above the earth. And the waters prevailed and were increased greatly upon the earth, and the ark went upon the face of the waters. And the waters prevailed exceedingly upon the earth, and all the high hills that were under the whole heaven were covered. 15 cubits upward did the water prevail, and the mountains were covered. And all flesh died that moved upon the earth, both of fowl and of cattle and of beasts and of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, and every man. All in whose nostrils was the breath of life, and all that was in the dry land died. And every living substance was destroyed, which was upon the face of the ground, both man and cattle, and the creeping things, and the fowl of heaven, and they were destroyed from the earth. And Noah only remained alive, and they that were with him in the ark. And the waters prevailed upon the earth 150 days.
All right, now I meant to slow you down, but we're gonna do that in reverse. We're gonna read the Bible, then we're gonna say what the Lost Book of Enki said about the flood.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
right,
I did kind of go beyond.
Yeah, that was okay. Excerpt the flood. For days before the day of the deluge, the earth was rumbling, groaned as with pain, and it did. For nights before the calamity struck, in the heavens Nibiru as a glowing star was seen. Then there was darkness in daytime, and at night the moon was though by a monster was swallowed.
And brother, I'm going to step away for 1 second, but you keep going. I'll be right back.
All right. The earth began to shake. By a net force before unknown, it was agitated. In the glow of dawn, a black cloud arose from the horizon. The morning's light to darkness changed, as though by death's shadow veiled. Then the sound of a rolling thunder boomed. Lightnings, the skies lit up. Depart, Utu to the Anunnaki gave the signal. Crouched in the boats of heaven, the Anunnaki heavenward were lofty. In Shurabak, 18 leagues away, which is 54 miles, the bright eruptions by Nineveh were seen. Button up the hatch, Nineveh to Zalsutra shouted. Together the trapdoor that the hatch concealed, they pulled down. Watertight and closed completely was the boat. Inside, a ray of light penetrated. On that unforgettable day, the deluge with a roar began. In the white land, at the earth's bottom, the earth's foundations were shaken. Then with a roar to 1,000 thunders equal, off its foundations the ice sheet slipped. By Nibiru's unseen net force, it was pulled away into the South Sea, crashing. One sheet of ice into another ice sheet was smashing. The white land surface, like a broken eggshell, was crumbling. All at once, a tidal wave arose. The very skies was a wall of waters reaching. A storm, its ferocity never before seen, at the earth's bottom began to howl. Its winds, the wall of water, were driving. The tidal wave northward was spreading. Northward was the wall of water's onrush. The Avsu lands it was reaching. Therefrom toward the settled lands it traveled. The Edian it overwhelmed. When the tidal wave, the wall of water, Shurabak reached, the boat of Zalsutra, the tidal wave from its moorings lifted. Tossed it about like a watery abyss, the boat it swallowed. Though completely submerged, the boat held firm. Not a drop of water into it did enter. Outside the storm's wave, the people overtook like a killing battle. No one, his fellow man, could see. The ground vanished. There was only water. All at once on the ground stood by the mighty waters, away was swept. Before days end, the watery wall, gathering speed, the mountains overwhelmed. In their celestial boats, the Anunnaki, the earth, was circling. Crowding the compartments, against the outer walls they crouched. What was happening upon the earth down below, to see they strained. From the celestial boat in which she was, Nema, like a woman in travail, cried out. Now created like drowned dragonflies in a pond, the water spilled. All life by the rolling sea wave, away was taken. Thus did Nema cry and moan. Inanna, who was with her, also cried and lamented. Everything down below, all that lived, has turned into clay. Thus did Nema and Inanna weep. They wept and eased their feelings. In the other celestial boats, the Anunnaki, by the sight of unbridled fury, were humbled. A power greater than theirs, they with all those days witnessed. For the fruits of the earth they hungered. For fermented elixir they thirsted. The olden days, alas, to clay they have turned. So to each other the Anunnaki said, after the immense tidal wave that over the earth swept, the sluices of heaven opened. A downpour from the skies upon the earth was unleashed. For 7 days the waters from above with the waters of the great below were mingled. Then the wall of water, its limits reaching, its onslaught ceased. But the rains from the skies for 40 more days and nights continued. From their perches the Anunnaki looked down. Where there were dry lands, now was a sea of water. And where mountains once to the heavens their peaks raised, their tops now like islands were in the waters. And all that on dry land was living in the avalanche of waters perished. Then, as in the beginning, the waters to their basins were gathered, waving back and forth. Day by day, the water level came lower. Then 40 days after the deluge, over the earth swept, The rains also stopped. After the 40 days, Zarathustra, the boat's hatch opened, his whereabouts to survey. A bright day it was. A gentle breeze was blowing. All alone, with no other sign of life, the boat upon a vast sea was lolling. Mankind, all living things, off the earth's face are wiped out. No one except us few survive, but there is no dry land to set a foot upon. So did Zarathustra to his kinfolk, saying he sat down and lamented. At that time, Nineveh, by Enki appointed, the boat toward the twin peaks of Arata directed. A sail for her he shaped. Toward the mount of salvation, he the boat guided. Impatient Zarathustra was. Birds that were on board he released to check for dry land. For surviving vegetation to verify, he sent them. He sent forth a swallow. He sent forth a raven. Both to the boat returned. He sent forth a dove. With a twig from a tree to the boat it returned. Now Zarathustra knew that the dry land from under the waters had emerged. A few more days, and the boat by rocks was rested. The deluge is over. At the Mount of Salvation we are. So the Nineveh to Zarathustra say.
Okay.
Hopefully,
Wow. So that's pretty close.
Let me finish.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Opening a watertight hatch from the boat, Zarathustra emerged. The sky was clear. The sun was shining. A gentle wind was blowing. Hurried upon his spouse and children, he to come out called. The Lord Enki let us praise. To him thanks give. To them Zarathustra said. With his son's stones he gathered. With them an altar he built. Then a fire on the altar he lit. With aromatic incense he made a fire. A ewe lamb, one without blemish, for a sacrifice he selected. And upon the altar to Enki the ewe lamb as a sacrifice he offered. All right. We got Genesis 8, 1 through 19, and then Genesis 8, 20.
Okay, so Genesis 8, 1 through 19.
You can actually just go Genesis 8, 1 through 20.
Okay, just do the whole thing. 8, okay, 1 through 20. Wow, this puts all of this Genesis stuff in perspective. So let me go there, though. Excuse me. Okay, it's kicking over. Come on, cooperate. That is getting slow. Okay, here it is. Genesis 8, 1 through 20. And God remembered Noah and every living thing and all the cattle that was with earth continually, and after the end of the 150 days the waters were abated. And the ark rested in the 7th month on the 7th day of the month upon the mountains of Ararat. And the water decreed continually until the 10th month, and this month on the 1st day of the month were the tops of the mountains seen. And it came to pass at the end of 40 days that Noah opened the window of the ark which he had made. And he sent forth a raven, which went forth to and fro until the waters were dried up from off the earth. He also sent a dove from him to see if the waters were abated from off the face of the ground. But the dove found no rest for the sole of her feet, and she returned into the ark, for the waters were on the face of the whole earth. Then he put forth his hand and took her and pulled her unto him in the ark. And he stayed yet another 7 days, and again he set forth the dove out of the ark. And the dove came in to him in the evening, and lo, in her mouth was an olive leaf plucked off. So Noah knew that the waters were abated from off the earth. He stayed yet another 7 days, and sent forth the dove, which returned not again until him any more. And it came to pass in the 601st year, in the 1st month, the 1st day of the month, the waters were dried up off the earth, and Noah removed the covering of the ark and looked, and behold, the face of the ground was dry. And in the 2nd month, on the 7th, And 20th day of the month was the earth dry. And God spake unto Noah, saying, Go forth of the ark, thou and thy wife, and thy sons' wife with thee. Bring forth with thee every living thing that is with thee, and all flesh, both of fowl and of cattle, and of every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth, that they may breed abundantly in the earth, and be fruitful, and multiply upon the earth. And Noah went forth, and his sons, and his wife, and his sons' wives with him. Every beast, every creeping thing, and every fowl, and whatsoever creepeth upon the earth after their kind went forth out of the ark. And Noah built an altar unto the Lord, and took of every clean beast and of every clean fowl, and offered burnt offerings on the altar. Wow. So on that altar, I think that's a good stopping point, because
Yeah.
whew, that was a lot. So I just got to get this in real quick before we open the line. So let's start off with Noah was burning the altar, or the offering on the altar, to Enki.
Yeah.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because you know that Enoch is my man. I just love the way he broke stuff down. Wasn't Enoch the protege of Enki, and Enoch's name really was, he nicknamed Enoch Enki Me?
Enoch was way down the line. Enki was
I know,
way,
but I mean,
he was way down the line. Remember, Enki was the one that taught Enoch.
I know. So the point I'm trying to make is that Noah and Enki had connections, and that Enki was already highly respected.
No, Enki is his daddy. You forgot that, did you?
Okay, I'm confused because
Enki
is whose father?
Enki is Yahsuja's father. Remember Balaam was taking us. That's who they didn't know who the daddy was.
And it was Enki.
Enki is his daddy.
Dang. That makes sense. And that makes sense why he came. And I forgot, because that's why he came out looking the way he did.
Yeah.
And why they got scared, because they thought that he was maybe a Nephilim. They knew he had to be one of the descendants from one of the gods or angels, or however you want to call them. That's right. That's right. I'm mixing it up.
Look. That description they got, maybe at that time, they didn't, I'll explain it like this. Maybe at that time, they didn't realize that he was vibrating so damn high, he looked way different from anything they had ever seen.
That's true. But I know, only reason I bring that up, because when we were in the book of Enoch, I played a clip from a couple, I think they're Israelites, and their YouTube channel is the Watchtower, something like that. But anyway, very good couple. And they brought up the story of the birth of Noah, and they were equating that the reason why they were so freaked out by it, because the Nephilim children, some of them kind of looked that way too. But it was just in general, those Nibirians looked that way and vibrated on a higher level. So, okay, I get it. And it makes sense that Noah would burn an offering to his father.
Yeah.
That's deep. That's deep. And we got to remember, again, when you're looking at these terms in the Bible, when it's talking about God, that's the messed up part about it, though, Brother Wendell. Had we not had the lost book of Enki, we would know who they were talking about when they say God.
It ain't just one of them. It's a collective.
Exactly, because remember, God is a title.
Yeah.
It's not one being, because, we all are gods. So that's a title. So very interesting. So I'm going to open up the phone lines in case somebody want to put something on it. I know we threw a lot at y'all tonight, so hold on a second. So press *6 to get in the queue if you want to put something on it. So *6 to get in the queue if you want to put something on it, or you have something to say. Okay. So the other thing is, in the notes, for those of you that have the notes, I see, Brother Wendell, that you even put the area of where the ark is located. So what's kind of fascinating me, let me check back and make sure we don't have any. Okay, we do have a caller. I'm coming to you, Sweetness, in just a second. What's fascinating me is that first map, it talked about the wall of heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And explain that first map, if you may. Tell me what I'm looking at.
The one right there where they have Mount Ararat circle.
I'm on page 115, and it has. Yeah. Okay, yeah, Mount Air, the one on the left-hand side.
Yeah. See, while you was away from the phone, they described what the flood looked like.
Okay.
And what it looked like was all the mountains had disappeared except for the tops of them. You can see nothing but the tops of the highest mountains. Everything else was covered up. So, therefore, you have something that looks like an island, and then you got to look at it from the standpoint of ground point. It would look like a wall.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah. And also they describe when the ice sheets fell into the ocean, the water was, to them, was like the water was touching the heaven. That's how high it was.
Got you. Okay. So I'll go back and read that, so I'm not going to tie everybody up with that.
And the reason I got 4 different maps there is because there's always an argument on where the ark actually rested in.
Yeah, and they still arguing about that today.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. So, I'm going to go back over that part on my own time. So, okay, let me bring in 256 because I know it's getting late. Okay, 256, your line is open.
Thank you, love and light.
Greetings, beloved.
Hey, talk to my hand.
We missed you. How you doing?
So nobody got it, huh?
Talk to
she's talking about when you're talking to the reed hook.
Oh. Yeah, that I was lost. I ain't gonna lie on that. I'm like, what do they keep talking about this wall? I'm not getting it. That was pretty slick. But now we know how to do it when you're not supposed to tell something. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking you need to talk to this wall. That was slick.
And why did they not want the people to know that because the Bible says Noah warned them the whole time he was building the ark that the flood is coming and to get on board and y'all better come on. But this says they were not to know.
Well, he did offer some of them the opportunity to get on the ark at the end.
At the end, he did. It sure did say it at the end. But remember, they were told not to tell them because they had to wipe out the bloodline.
Right.
Okay, and they say that Noah's wife, which is Cain's granddaughter, is on the boat. That's part of the bloodline. So he took the corrupted blood with him, right?
Mm-mm.
No.
Okay, so one last question. Cain was supposed to have been from the serpent, Satan, the Nephilim, whatever, the fallen, because supposedly Eve had relations with someone else plus Adam. So those two boys are from different fathers.
No.
So, okay, thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah, that's
another
myth running around.
All right. Both of those in the Lost Book of Enki, their names are Cain and Able, Cain and Able. Enki made it with two earthling females.
So they had two different mamas.
And he had, wait a minute, no. He had Adapa and Titi. Cain and Abel were the children of Adapa and Titi.
So Adapa is Eve.
They were Titi is Eve.
Yeah, Titi, my bad. Yeah, Titi
is
Eve.
Because remember, we went over that last week, and she had a daughter by the name of Awan. And if you go look up Eve had a daughter by the name of Awan.
Okay.
And another way to pronounce Eve's name is Awa.
Okay, so remember Adam was supposed to have a first wife before Eve?
Yeah, who they were saying is Lilith.
Uh-huh. Yeah. But hold it now. Let's get that. Let's get that. Enki made it with two of them. He made it with one first, and then he made it with the other. He couldn't do it at the same time.
So was that Lilith, the first one?
It had to be.
Okay, one last. When that secret message was delivered, and they were talking, and they were deciding, we're gonna. I could not understand any. I could not understand. It's like there were so many different fractions down here on Earth. The reason they had to abandon Earth because they knew Earth was going to be destroyed because of this changing stuff that's going on, and it was because of the Creator of all. They knew it was coming, and so they had to leave, right?
Right.
And they could not take no earthlings because now, I thought mankind is us, the favorite creation, that he breathes his breath into us. We are the favorite creation. Why are we all mixed up with mankind, and all the rest of these folks?
That's a mistake we made.
Mm-hmm.
A long time ago.
A long time ago.
So you're saying that after Noah survived all this, we came back out here acting a fool like the ones that was destroyed. Then we took their place.
That's going to be interesting because remember earlier I had made the mistake when they were talking about Enki and what's-her-face was gathering up the animals and stuff, and I said, Brother Wendell, I'm looking at Enki and them kind of sideways, that they put some earthlings on that boat. And he said, no, they didn't do that. Reread it. I said, okay, my bad. And I said, but how did the bloodline become back corrupted? And Brother Wendell said, just wait. We're going to get to that. I said, okay.
Just wait. We're gonna get to
because I'm looking sideways at this point because if stuff had been supposedly and allegedly cleaned out,
right?
You know what I'm saying? Then how's we to this point
where I'll come back acting the fool and get back labeled. Now the favorite is labeled like the heathens he destroyed. So now we come back like the heathens he destroyed, and we don't know anything about. We are the favorite. Now, so what would be our position? We still calling ourselves mankind.
We still are. We still are.
Okay. Thank you so much. This is.
I call myself man, but okay, whatever. I ain't attesting to no mankind.
Hey, let me give you something else, some more food for thought. On that Lilith and Eve thing.
Mm-hmm.
You got to remember something, that when in the Bible, when a child is born, that child is really referred to as a nation.
Yes, true that.
So now you got Enki, which would represent a nation, and you got two earthling females that represent two nations.
Yeah. Oh, damn it. Say that so-and-so again, Brother Wendell. Say that again.
Yeah.
Say it again so they can hear it.
When a child is born in the Bible, they refer to that child as a nation. So when Enki is representing a nation, and the two earthling females is representing two different nations. Then, when a adopted teacher is born, that's still two different nations. And then they have children, Cain and Able, which is still two different nations.
There you have it. That's the category of how the different nations came to be. And it totally still kind of backs up that Lilith theory.
Yeah.
It still kind of backs it up. And just with that said, I was sharing with the family a couple weeks ago that I was watching True Blood, that HBO series. I went back because people were telling me it was a lot of mythology in it. And so they did a whole season on Lilith. And when they first showed Lilith, melanated woman all day long. And I just sat there, and when they first showed her, she was like really dark, and then she emerged as looking mixed. But you could truly tell that they were saying that she was a melanated woman, and I just sat there with my mouth hung open, and that whole series, that whole season rather, revolved around Lilith controlling that particular species. And everybody wanted Lilith's blood so they can have these super strength powers. So very, very interesting how all of these myths today bring forward, but it's really fascinating that this book, The Lost Book of Enki, truly tells us the origins of all of these myths and characters that still resonate today. So very good question, Sister Amir.
Yeah. And for the ones who have the notes, you can go back up there where it talked about the birth of Adapa and Titi, and there was, I think it was like 5 different links I got up there where you can go and do some research on Lilith. There's some interesting stuff out there.
Okay, I'm going to have to straight go back and do that research then. That's going to be real interesting.
Yeah.
So, Sister Amir, are you still there, Sugar?
Yeah, I'm still here, and thank you, Sis Rhonda. I don't think we know how wonderful this information and your effort with this show and the shows you do, I don't think it's sinking in yet how powerful this is. I really paid attention tonight. Because the other calls, the other ones, I really didn't pay attention. But I did tonight. And I'm saying, like, I see why they lost this stuff. Because they want us to really be...
This tells it all.
they want us to really be totally disconnected from.
Yep.
They know, like she was saying, how they can chart the stars and chart the earthquakes, and their science is into that astrology, and we're clueless. We just hear, okay, I'm born August the 10th. Oh, it's my birthday. I get some gifts, and the rest of the time we're clueless.
Yep.
Thank you, Sis Rhonda.
All of it. Well, I want to thank. You're welcome, but I want to thank Brother Wendell because he broke.
Wouldn't be here without this call. Thank you, Brother Wendell. You are brilliant. I yield.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Thank you, sis. Very good questions tonight. Thank you. Peace and love. Okay, we have another call. 301. Let me see. 301. Your line is open.
That's what it said. Unmuted. I guess it's open. It's Fred. How y'all doing?
We're doing well, beloved. Brother? How are you?
Oh, just fine, just fine. Hello to Amira, too. I hear her on so many other calls. I'm used to her area code now.
That's a shame. We automatically know 256. That's just Amira.
Yeah, I said, honey, it's Amira. She said, okay. Anyway, way back early in the call tonight, you were talking about that question you used to always have when you're talking about, let us go make man in our image. And make a long story short, my dad was a preacher, but he wasn't always a preacher. He was a preacher later in life. And I always used to have two questions for him, and we'd sit down and we'd talk about it. I said, well, who were they talking about when they said let us? I mean, God didn't need to talk in the plural. He said, well, son, you know,
right.
it was the Trinity. I said, the Trinity? He said, yeah, you know, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost.
I heard that one too.
I said, and they talked about it like that? He said, well, you know, you got to understand, you know, it was just a Trinity thing, and this they're doing. I said, I don't know if I get that, so I let it go. I said, but then my other question was, if Cain slew Abel and went and left the land and went to Nod and begat a wife, I said, who are them people? Because I don't know about nobody else. The Bible didn't talk about nobody else. Yeah. You know, the Bible never talks about time. So there's a lot of time that elapses, and, you know, there was other children born, this and that. I said, yeah, but it never talked about them. So all I'm saying, too, is like Amira said, this lost book creates and fills a lot of those voids.
Yes,
you were wondering what happened in between all that time, and who were those people? So, you know, it just becomes a little bit more clear now as you go through there. And thank you for the notes. I did get them, and I have been starting to read them. I ain't finished them because there's so many.
Yes, awesome information.
Hey, I told y'all when she said she wanted to do the creation of myth or story or whatever, it's going to be a long ride.
Yeah, it's been a long ride.
Yeah, but I tell you, the value of, I have such new respect for this book, and I take back whatever negativity I have ever said about Zachariah Stitchett. He did the damn thing in this book. I'm blown away. I mean, every piece of loose end is tied up in this book. And it's interesting, brother, that you're sharing with us that, you know, even when you were young and you were questioning that whole creation story of the Bible, the answers that you were given, and it just shows you how, you know, our parents or whomever was teaching it, they didn't know any better, but us with the fresh minds at a young age, we came in and saying, wait a minute now, that ain't logical to me. Right, that straight ain't logical to me. So that was our spirit, our Akashic record saying, wait, hold up, though. It said, let us. So I'm saying all that to say, as Sis Amira said, all of this stuff was purposely suppressed.
But we also knew as kids, we better not challenge this stuff, because it wasn't like today when, you know, you can call 911 that your parents arrested. We'd be picking that stuff up, talking about clean up on aisle 5. It's like, yeah, we'd be over the floor. So we never questioned that stuff. But we don't blame them. I don't blame them. They just didn't know.
They didn't know. But, you know, the interesting part about it, even when, you know, I was fed stuff in the Bible, and when I would start coming up with these questions and they couldn't come back with the answers, it was always set in my spirit, y'all don't know, and I ain't completely buying this. So y'all can say all you want to say, but one day, I remember as a teenager sitting there thinking, one day I'm going to find out the truth, because this ain't the truth what you teaching me. It's too many holes in it for me. So that's the beauty of it, that those that kept that in our spirit were determined we were going to get down to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say one thing about this book, this particular book. There's one piece missing, and I have an idea why it's not in there.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that's missing out of this book is the connection to the dinosaurs. And I believe they wouldn't let it put it in this book.
Okay.
And I'm gonna show you that period of time later on in this book where that happened.
Oh, that's going to be interesting.
We have to go back and watch Ice Age again. They probably were trying to tell us in that.
Yeah. But I pinpointed where they probably didn't let him put it in the book. Because, see, as a reader, you got to remember that he didn't have his own publishing company.
True.
And they will not let you put certain things in there.
They sure won't. They'll strip your stuff in a heartbeat. That is true.
Yeah, and even the way the book is written, a good thing about having a lot of the excerpts, you can see how the book is actually written. You might have a word at the beginning of the sentence that we normally see at the end of it, or in the middle that should be at the end. You see what I'm saying? And you have to study it and figure out what the hell they talking about.
That's right.
That's true. That's true. They do it all the time. Wow. Yeah. Well, thank you, brother, for that.
I yield.
Okay, beloved. Thank you so much. Peace and love.
Peace and love.
Okay, so that's the last call, Brother Wendell. Again, excellent information. My wig is once again blown back to get a much clearer picture of the story of Noah, and I don't know how I overlooked or let it slip the connection of Enki and Noah, with Enki dipping and dabbing as usual. That was his father. So excellent information. I appreciate it. Excellent job you done tonight. So did you have any last words for the family?
Stay tuned, because it still get gooder and gooder. We got four more tablets to go. And a couple of things that we need to do on the next call if we have the time. We need to back up and play that at least a part of that video of Credo Mutuar talking about the Anunnaki.
Okay, so I'll have to find that then.
No, it's in the document.
Okay, I'll pull it out the document then, and I'll make sure I get it up there.
All you gotta do is click on the link and go to it. Okay. And another thing, probably I think in the next tablet is another name chart. We need to read the back end of that name chart, and I think, if I remember correctly, there's some very important information at the back end of that name chart, starting with Noah and coming on down.
Okay, and I'll make sure that I have my 1611 Bible handy too, in case there's any discrepancies we need to clear up. But I meant to tell you, somebody posted, and forgive me, I can't remember who posted it on Facebook, that YouTube clip with Dr. Mutuar, and I kind of chuckled to myself. I'm like, oh, they listening to Brother Wendell, and they put that one out there. So, yeah, we'll definitely play that video next week for the family, because, that's going to blow a few little wigs back, too. So,
definitely. It's going to definitely blow some wigs back.
Yeah, that's going to blow some wigs back. So, okay, brother, well, thank you so much again. Family, we want to thank you for hanging in there with us. We know we threw a lot at you tonight with the whole financial thing going on, and then getting deeper and deeper into the lost book of Enki. Hopefully, you've gotten a lot out of it. If you don't take anything else from this but to take for the fact that you have to know that the way the Bible was written, it was written pulling out different passages from different ancient texts. Clearly, we see that from the Lost Book of Enki, they took a lot of stuff verbatim, but a lot of the details were left out. So we were left unknowing who was really present when conversations were being held, as well as these people in the Bible were describing God. I at least counted like 3 different people that fit that description. So if you got anything else out of that, as you're reading the Holy Bible, you should definitely have a different take on everything. So with that said, we're going to conclude, family. I do want to thank you for your time again. Just as a reminder, those of you that are following along with us on Tarot Reading, we are ramping up for our show in a couple weeks. The last Tuesday of this month, we are going to review the book Behold a Pale Horse by William Cooper. We're going to get into the first couple chapters of that, so I'm really excited about that. Check the Facebook page for more details. So we will be back next Thursday. I can't wait. I'll be looking straight forward to this. Brother Wendell, I felt a little migraine coming on. When I tell you I got to drinking teas, herbs, I said, no, use a damn lad, not tonight. I ain't finna miss what's jumping off tonight. And I'm so glad I didn't, because this was very, very explosive information. So I want to thank you again, brother. I just cannot tell you how much I appreciate that. So with that, we're going to sign off, people. We're going to say peace, love, truth, freedom, and justice. One heart, one mind, and one spirit. And with that, family, we're going to say nightfall. We're going to rock out with some music. Love you much.
Nightfall.